Hello, team, and welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video. Or it's not. This is a co-stream today. This is a co-stream with myself and loads of awesome team members and convoy drivers, and essentially just blatant legends. At the moment, we've got four of us. Pierre was there. He's going to pop back in a second. Unfortunately, Benny Pie is unable to join us. He's got a prior engagement. And we might get Ivan from Car for Ukraine in as well. But at the moment, we have JR. People will know Jeroen from helping out with the mapping side of things and being one of the legends of the universe. So he is there. We have Mark from the Little Whiskey Shop, who many of you will know is being referenced and will know from the live chats. And we have Dan. I've interviewed Dan twice because he does a lot of driving for from Bristol with Love, an amazing charity as well. So that's just to introduce people. Welcome, guys. I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but you know me, I'll probably give it a damn good shot. How are you? How are things? I know Dan is there on his motorbike, which is pretty impressive.
It is impressive. I've only had it for a year. It's one of those what do they call them? Midlife crisis machines. But I'm loving it. I gave it a break for 20 years when I was raising kids, and now they're all old enough to cope without me. So yeah, I'm back on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark, are you? I just have to say some props to Mark, because I do like to support the Little Whiskey Shop when I can. And I have two beers that I bought from him. I'm just wondering which one to drink. So I have the Andwell Brewing Company Dark Amber Ale, and then I have this Downton Brewery. I presume these are local breweries, Mark.
Yeah.
Solstice Robust Premium Bitter. I'm probably going to go for this one because of my love of the word robust. I use it enough. So there you go. Thanks,
yeah,
Mark.
no, I'll go for that one first, definitely.
Well, the connoisseur speaks. And JR's on the wine. So, and I believe, Mark, you are on the wine too. Dan, don't. You're driving.
Exactly. I do have a Little Whiskey Shop whiskey for me when I get back home. I'm waiting for my daughter to finish swimming practice, and then so I'll drop off and then come back, and then we'll do a tasting notes.
A fine choice.
Excellent. Well, guys, let's go back to the beginning. You guys have been watching the channel. We've got involved in the Car for Ukraine, a fundraiser, and this enabled us to. There are people there. Oh, there are. I didn't realise that Pierre is here as well. Hey, Pierre.
Dobroveche. Hello.
Yay.
Hey. Nice to see you all. Am I delayed?
Good to see you, man.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're wonderful, mate. I am sure you're wonderful.
I've got a bad throat. Yeah.
You're probably a little bit delayed, just as a psychological thing. But so Pierre, and everyone hopefully knows Pierre as being the humanitarian worker who's been working for base UA based in Kramatorsk in the east of Ukraine, and he is not quite our fixer. Actually, he fixed our fixer to help us get around, Maxime, and that was great to have him on board for a wee while. So I was just going to go back to the beginning, guys, and just get your thoughts about how we got to do what we did. What made you want to come along and drive these trucks? And yeah, go for it. Any thoughts on how we got going?
You need to pick first.
So, yeah, so JP, basically, obviously, we had that chat that you did up in our area for us to raise some money, and that kind of then when you were raising the Car for Ukraine, I reached out and just said, any chance of you needing a driver? And basically, you came back and went, I think we're okay. And about 2 hours later, came back. Actually, can you drive? So yeah, very very short notice, but yeah, it was. I'm really pleased I did it. It was a very emotional trip, and yeah, very worthwhile.
Yeah, so we had 3 vehicles. Jonathan Fink was kind of in charge of one, but his who was accompanying him, Yaroslava, she couldn't drive or wasn't driving. So that's when I was like, oh, actually, yeah, we could do one more driver. And then that meant that we had 2 people per vehicle. And in fact, if I show people the vehicles that we took out, here they are. So there were 3 pretty substantial vehicles: a Mitsubishi L200 on the left, a Mitsubishi, I don't know, is that a Colt or something? And then was that another L200 on the right? And then that's us there, looking pretty damn cool. There's Benny Pie in the red hat. We've got Jonathan Fink, Yaroslava as well, and Pierre probably taking a photo because he's a bit of a photographer. And that's where we started. So that was in Kent, where we picked up the vehicles before driving to Netherlands to pick up JR. So JR, what made you want to pop along onto this adventure?
I had to. I pushed you quite a bit to do the fundraising.
Well,
yeah.
actually, this is true. So you were quite an advocate of Car for Ukraine, I think, early doors, weren't you?
Yeah. I think Benny also pleaded for doing a fundraiser with him, with them. But yeah.
Yeah, so that was Car for Ukraine. Well, at the time, I'd done a NATO truck campaign, and that seemed like a really good fit. You and Benny have both advocated for them, and in fact, yeah, you're wearing your Car for Ukraine T-shirt. I probably should have done that myself tonight. So good effort, JR. And we picked you up on the way, but before we did that, there was an awful lot of sorting stuff out. Pierre was onto us saying, guys, like, you really need to sort your crap out here and do some organization, because I was like, yeah, it's going to be fine, we're just going to drive these trucks. And this is where sort of Mark came in with his organizational prowess, and Benny Pie, both just like working on different areas of logistics. Thank you, Mark, for just taking over there.
Oh, no problem. Give me something to do.
Because your background is in army logistics, right?
It is, yeah. So I'm an ex-logistician. Did just under 20 years in the army, then came out and started a software company, and then basically started the whiskey shop as a folly, and then set up the warehouse as a second folly. So kind of my plan was to kind of retire into the shop, but that never happened because of COVID and everything else. So I ended up running 3 businesses. So I wasn't, and what they say, if you want something done, give it to a busy man. So hence it's probably ideal for me to be doing the organization for you guys.
Yeah, as if you didn't have enough on your plate. Well, it's really well appreciated, and of course Pierre was out there already. Pierre, do you want to tell the audience why you're in France at the moment, but why you end up being in Ukraine?
Well, it all goes back to February 22, many years ago already. I was in France, just started collecting aid locally and stuff. I don't know, emotionally involved in it, and I didn't actually go out until the end of 2022, December, and then just met the right people at the right time and ended up in Kramatorsk.
But what was it about Ukraine? Like, is that anything you've done before? Have you ever done any kind of humanitarian work before?
No, not at all. I think I was quite obsessed with it even from 2 weeks before. I always remember the meeting of Putin and Xi and in Beijing, and I thought, this is going to happen. And I had a journalist friend who was in Kyiv, and he told me it was going to happen. And so, a bit like yourself, I just got heavily involved in it. Really, just spent a lot of my time researching it and watching it, and
And that was enough to just drive you to actually want to up sticks and go there, because that, there's one thing to be obsessed with it. Like all of us, Dan, myself, JR, Mark, we're all like, we're obsessed with it, but none of us got up and went to Ukraine and volunteered. That's a whole different level of commitment.
Yeah, but this is my situation in life. Like, I was free. I haven't got family or commitments. I wasn't tied down to a job, and so I had the opportunity to do it, and the first day I crossed the border, I just remember helping, because you know what it's like on the trains. It's just loads of women and children trying to carry cases up these, you know, train stairs and stuff. And I always remember just instantly feeling that kind of, you know, relief, really, that I was there and I could do something, and it just kind of progressed from there. Yeah.
I was just about to ask Dan about his situation, but he's gone and put a bloody great
I think.
helmet
Can
on.
you hear me? How's the sound now?
It's actually
Yeah.
really good, Dan. It's really good.
I'm always on the move. I can't help it. I'm either driving to Ukraine or driving my daughter swimming and back, or riding when the weather's nice, which is more fun.
So,
Did you
Looks
want the
lovely.
history? I mean, I'd been doing a few trips to Ukraine. Basically, just a mate rang me up, went, you know, you've been watching the news, thinking this is awful. About a month in, and he rings me up, goes, "Do you fancy driving humanitarian aid?" So I went, "Yeah, of course." And then we just didn't stop. So in about year 2, I guess it was, it gets harder to raise the funds. So you've got to raise about £2,500 to hire the van, pay for the fuel, hotels, food, get everything sorted out, ferry crossings, etc. So it was getting harder, right, for each trip, because you're going back to the same people. And I just wrote to you saying thanks for like keeping me motivated, because it dropped out of the news. And you got straight on it and went, fancy a live stream. And as we were always looking for fundraising, I jumped on it. We had a couple of chats for 2 different trips. And because you're not allowed to take the hire vans into Ukraine, you and I'd said, "Oh, I really want to go Ukraine." Well, you go right up to the border in Romania, Suceava and Galatz. They're like sort of 9 kilometers, 12 kilometers from the border. But we never went in. We always had to get back, because when you've got a 2-van trip, you got 4 or 5 people, and you've just got to get back for something. Somebody's got a family commitment somewhere, right? So we'd never gone in, which just felt wrong. And you offered me, I remember I was away for the weekend, and I got back on like Sunday night and saw your email that you'd sent on Friday or something going, "Do you want to,
yeah,
you know,
because
join this trip?"
I was expecting a quicker response, because I was like, because you were one of the first. I was like, he'd said he really wants to go into Ukraine, and
Yeah.
you're such a good human that like you've got to be a part of this. And yeah, so I shot you out an email straight away. But yeah.
It was just so good of you. So I was like terrified that I'd dropped the ball over the weekend and missed this. I was like, yes, please. You know, just the second I saw the email in my black hole of an email inbox. So I was lucky that I saw it. And you very kindly, you very kindly hadn't filled up the place yet. So unfortunately, I only went for the first week. You guys went on to Kyiv, and I came back because I've got 2 weeks a year to spend doing this, and I didn't want to leave the charity short. So I'm actually going again on Saturday morning. We've got another 2-van trip. We've got 21 generators. We got just under 2 tons of aid, which we've collected outside supermarkets. The people of Portishead are fantastic. They're the Lidl there. We collect loads of aid there. They're brilliant. But I'll drop off now and let other people get a word in edgeways, and I'll come back once I'm home.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I wouldn't want to
my daughter's here.
you while you're driving on a motorbike.
Give her a wave. There's Harriet.
Hello, daughter. Hello, Harriet.
Oh, trust me, I won't be long. This thing moves. I'll see you soon. Bye.
What a legend! What a legend!
Yeah.
So Mark, I mean, it was quite a commitment, because it wasn't just about driving out to Ukraine, because I went to Ukraine in February of 2024 and met up with Greg, Terry and Zhenya, and we went around near the front lines, and it was very much just, and Pierre, sorry, of course, and the 4 of us did the front lines in pretty quick fashion, but we didn't get to, I didn't get to experience, not that, you know, I'm advocating doing war tourism, but I didn't get to experience like seeing a bit more of Kyiv and some of the kind of sites, and getting a sense of the culture and the identity of Ukraine, which I think is really important when you're pouring a lot of time and effort into the country. I think it's right that we spent some time doing that. And obviously that's a big commitment for all of you, really, to take that, not less so for Pierre, who is already out there, but for the others coming out. That's quite a big commitment. 2 weeks or 10 days, weren't we? So did you have to work hard to get the green card for that, or do you have an understanding, Jen?
Jenny is very, very understanding. In fact,
Yeah.
she was earlier. We said when I mentioned that I was on this, she said, "You're not planning another trip, are you?" I said, "Oh, I don't know." He said, "Well, you know, and if you are you going to go?" And, yeah, no, she is very understanding, and actually, everyone, yeah, the team stepped up. You know, particularly on the software side of things, it's quite difficult to be away. It's been quite a busy time, but you know, it's not like you're cut off from the world there. You know, the internet is probably better than we get here, and yeah, therefore being able to do your work while you're away, fitting in between, you know, and catching up on emails, etc., wasn't too bad. But I think it was really great to be able to get, you know, immersed in in Kyiv, get immersed in Lviv, etc., and get to see what life is like in Ukraine, or should be like in Ukraine, but also experiencing all the air raids going off and the lack of sleep and all the rest of it is all part and parcel, and it just brings home. And you know, I then wrote a little blog which is on the whiskey shop that I put out to.
You should share that one.
I should share that. Sorry, Mark, I really should have shared that with the audience. So remind me of that.
Yeah, no, and I say, what for me, it was just I wanted to tell the story. I wanted, having experienced it, I wanted to get across to people, and it was amazing the number of people who came back having read the blog. I put it on on my Facebook, and I had so many people really supportive that I didn't actually think necessarily would be supporting. So I think it was great for me to then be able to raise not only what happened, what we did, but raise the Ukrainian profile again, as it was starting to dwindle down a bit. I think I think a lot of people who aren't fanatics like us have kind of not lost interest is not the right word, but are not as connected, or aware of what's really going on. So I think things like the trip and that help. Well, revitalize us. Not that we need it, because we're kind of, you can. I think I watch about 12 YouTubers every day, constantly, from the moment I get up to the time I go to sleep. And the wife says, "You're absolutely fixated on it," and it's just constantly going on in my ears as I listen. I don't tend to watch, tend to listen to most things to catch up, and so that sort of thing was just brilliant, and also getting that message out to people who wouldn't necessarily have done it. I think I didn't tell my parents, but they found out before I went. But the idea was, I didn't want them to worry. My mum's a particularly bad worrier, but she found out because my son whose birthday was while we're out there. She rang up to say, what are you doing with Dad? And he went, he's away, type thing, and didn't kind of no, he didn't say away to begin with. She kind of whittled it out of him that I was away, and she said, "Oh, where?" And then I got a message. Actually, I was quite surprised. She was really, really supportive, and said it's amazing that you're going out there. So
Yeah. Oh,
brilliant. Well, look, verbal diarrhea.
Well, no. So actually, you kind of prepped up for. You mentioned, that it was an emotional time. One of the most emotional moments, certainly for me, I know I put it in a video, was going to. Is it called the Field of Mars, which is this cemetery in Lviv, and bearing in mind that every sort of major place and probably minor place has these cemeteries, and these are Pierre's photos where they would say police funeral. I presume it was someone that was formerly in the police, maybe joined up or something. But anyway, there's a lot of police there for the funeral of a soldier who had fallen initially when we got there, and then we walked around this massive sort of cemetery that has grown significantly. Had apparently grown significantly. I think they got a lot of bodies back in some exchange as well, which is probably why there was a lot of, somebody saying that's why there's a lot of the fresh graves there. There's myself.
They were, because those fresh graves, a lot of them had basically dates of where the person had died up to a year or so beforehand as well.
And so you can see obviously Mark there. looking emotional eyes there. I mean, we all, I think, shed a tear or two. It was really quite an incredible experience for me, just to see not the scale of it, but the love for these people. Each grave site was each grave was a memorial with pictures and flags, and quite an incredible experience, really. And that's where I was trying to communicate this one. I think it was from the actual funeral that took place. There was just the woman that probably I couldn't tell whether it was a mother or the wife, because I was sort of behind her, and she was just sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and wiping the tears off the picture that she was crying onto, and then sort of exhorting all this stuff. I can obviously understand, but you can, it's a kind of universal language, and then this process was just going over and over. And I think it was really useful to get an emotional connection to loss and to death and to the effects of war on people, and also just see the scope of the death that has taken place. And then, as I say, you multiply that out across all of these different places, and you start getting an understanding of how deeply this must have affect every single community. Every single family will have someone that they know who has died in this war, and then, of course, injured and whatnot as well. So I think that for me was a really powerful moment, probably the most powerful moment. I don't know if that's a shared experience that you guys had.
Yeah, I think for obviously being ex-military, you go to all the cemeteries around the First World and Second World War type things and have a look, and it is emotional when you do that, but the connection isn't quite as deep as when we were in Lviv, because you go there and you're looking at the ages, but it's just a stone with a name on it. Picture of on the you haven't got the images that you have with in Ukraine. All those images there, it immediately shows you who that person is and what they were. Often weren't in the military beforehand, some were in the military beforehand, and then having the mourners, the family there, showing their emotion and doing little things. As I said in the blog, like one lady was in the toilet because it had snowed. She was in the loo using the hand dryer to dry one of the wreaths that she'd obviously taken off one of the graves, and it was a cloth wreath, and she was drying it in the toilet. And you're thinking it's kind of a futile exercise, but to her that's her helping to do something, to kind of keep the memory of her partner alive. So that, I think it was very emotional for those reasons, more so than kind of visiting a typical war cemetery.
Yeah. I mean, Pierre and JR, did you have anything to add on this kind of experience?
It's just the sheer size of it. When you're just walking by from one side to the other, how much time it took just to this grave after grave after grave.
I went there last week actually, and there were like 3 or 4 more rows, like how long the lines are going up.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. That's not surprising at all.
And since November, there's been like 8,000 returned, bodies from Russia, and if you think like at least 5% of them will be from Lviv, and that's another 200 bodies laid there. And what makes it so much more personal are the photos these days, and it's not just people in military, it's people, it's in their other lives. It's like, it's quite hard.
We've got military cemetery. Here it is. Here are all the photos. So it's those, as you say, those photos by all the graves, and just the love that's shown for many of these people, as you can imagine. It is pretty incredible. I'm just trying to find the right stuff at the moment. just because we have so many folders of these photos and whatnot. I'm wondering if this is worth showing. I don't know. You get, all of these capsules and photographs, and it's just pretty incredible. But so that was early in our trip to Ukraine, and already I was in sort of bits at that point. But it was amazing to have got to Lviv. So Lviv is in the west of Ukraine, as many people will know, and relatively safe. When we were there, there was no hint of war really. But we got to Ukraine, and straight away we were met with challenge there at the border. Does anyone want to talk us through their recollection of us getting to the border in our 3 vehicles and what happened and why?
I'll let someone else speak.
Yeah.
That means you, Jerome.
I'm not a good talker.
Can I just add? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? So you said earlier I took a photo of you, but I didn't see you till like 2:30 in the morning in Lviv when you arrived, which was quite magical, really. And then I had a few beers, and I think we're up to like 5 o'clock or something. And then the next day, that's when we went to the cemetery. Yeah. So
it was second day.
And I was always amazed by the amount of energy you lot had. It's incredible. Yeah.
Well, we were unfortunately absolutely hammered by the illness that hit us, unfortunately. But I was just gonna, sorry Dan, I'm just meeting you as you crack open that. But yeah, so what
Cheers,
happened?
Dan.
Actually, let's do that, guys. Slava Ukraini, cheers to you guys. Here's to all the fallen heroes, and here's to you guys for helping, I think, do the right thing. So good on you.
Heroam Slava.
Heroam Slava.
Chipe. Heroam Slava.
So Mark, do you want to talk us through the absolute potential almost catastrophe we had just arriving at the border with these trucks?
Well, we did that trip to the oh god, it's out of my head. Auschwitz, thank you. Which we were only meant to be doing for sort of a quick whistle stop tour, but again, it was just so emotional that we ended up being there for about 3 or 4 hours longer than instead of the hour we intended to be. So we kind of left there quite late. And we were kind of going, if we don't leave now, we're never going to get through before the midnight curfew. So we kind of drove at breakneck speed to get to the border. And we advised about the new border crossing that had been built in conjunction with the EU. And so we thought, let's give that a go. Fatal mistake. That was probably the biggest mistake we made on the whole trip, was to go via that border one. Because unfortunately, the 2 border posts are right next to each other, so literally within 30 yards, 3 car lengths.
What you mean by the 2 border posts is you mean like the Polish one, and
side,
then the Ukrainian side. So normally, or in other places, there's quite a big kind of no man's land, but here it was like the Polish border guards and then the Ukrainian border guards, and they could kind of converse with each other with ease.
Yes, which was our undoing in the sense, because obviously we're briefed that we should tell the Polish that just for ease that we're coming back in the vehicle, because otherwise they start to get sensitive about you exporting and the vehicle and all the rest of it, and then we'd have to, when we go over to the other side, you obviously just tell them that we're importing. But having said that's what we're doing, the Polish border guards obviously didn't believe us and walked over and waited around with us as we had to then tell the Ukrainian border guards exactly the same story, that we're bringing it back. And of course, they didn't believe us either. So it kind of meant that we were there for In fact, we were there exactly 91 minutes, and I guess we'll do 90 minutes getting through the border control. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I should have.
We had a sweepstake, which I won, but then Mark took the kudos for that. But yeah,
yeah.
I think I said every number under the sun.
Yeah, you did, and yeah. So I was pretty happy with 90 minutes. But anyway, so we were there, constantly being trying to tell this lie in a sense that we were going to come back out with the cars because we had to, because the Polish border guard was there, and we couldn't really change the story, and it was getting later and later, and we thought, actually, if we don't get through, we're going to have to, we'll be turned back, whatever. But even if we do get through, it's past the midnight curfew, which meant that it started people worrying that we wouldn't be allowed to enter into Lviv when we got there, or we'd be stopped and forced to sort of spend the night in the vehicles. But eventually they said, you're definitely coming back out. Yeah, we're definitely coming back out. Said, right, if you don't come back out, you will be arrested next time you come in, and you will be fined €5,000 each, and all the rest of it. So we all went, okay, that's fine. We'll bring him back out again. And eventually, I say, after 91 minutes, we got through the border post and arrived in Ukraine, much to all of our relief.
Yeah. So the idea. The idea is we were kind of lying about what we were doing, and then we got caught out by the lie, but we should have really had the correct paperwork and the correct story, and just said that initially. So we weren't expecting both sides to be able to talk to each other about what had happened. So then this meant that if we had returned without those vehicles, then we would have lied, and then we would have got in trouble at the border on the way out, potentially. Whether they would ever find out or not, we didn't want to take the risk, but it could have meant that we got into lots of trouble. So we then had to, the next morning, a few guys, I think Jonathan Fink, was it Benny or was it Dan? And Mark?
Dan, myself, Benny, and then Jonathan Fink,
Yeah. And had to drive them all the way back to the border, then go. Kind of, well, I don't know, Mark, do you want to talk through
I'll let Dan talk through this, right?
That's the hero in this story.
So what we had to do was export the vehicles from Ukraine, have them marked so that no one was going to get fined the £5,000 or have a criminal mark against them should they try and come back into Ukraine another time. But we didn't want to go into Poland because on the other side of the border was, by the point we finally got through the Ukrainian side, about a 3.5-4 hour queue. It was like, people were giving us estimates of how long it was. It was a long queue. So we wanted to get turned round between Ukraine and Poland in no man's land. But they said, no, you're going to have to go the whole way through. So that sucks. Anyway, in the back of my our truck, I had 2 persons tobacco allowance for the EU, 10 packets of tobacco, which I picked up on the ferry on the way out. Dirty smoker. Now, fortunately, for the Polish border police found this. Where you're going to have to go out. Polish police found this and went, no, that's you've got an illegal amount. You're smuggling tobacco. I was like, no, it's for me and Jonathan Fink. We're sharing it. Thanks, Jonathan, by the way. No. The allowance, of course, from Ukraine to Poland is not an EU allowance. It's 1 packet of tobacco, not 10. So she was either going to have to fill out the paperwork and fine us and then let us in, or just turn us around. So my illegal smuggling of tobacco, unintentional, I must point out, actually saved us a good, 3.5 hour queue estimated on the other side. We were just so lucky. Whatever it was. And there were loads of us, right? There was like 4 or 5 of us in the vehicles by this point, I think.
There's a translator, wasn't there? So the idea was that you would have had to go out into Poland, join the 4-hour queue, come back in and then present the correct paperwork to the Ukrainians.
And then go through Ukrainians again rather than the ones we'd see, because they'd have had a shift change by then for sure. So it was an absolute massive time saver. And of course,
So,
time
yeah.
was really precious out there. So
and it took a good 2 hours to get to that point as well. And then then once we're over, despite you being turned around and effectively us in the cars behind going to be coming back round with you, and they still insisted on searching the car, going through all the paperwork, asking us all the questions, even though they're just literally going to walk us 4 yards and then walk us across the other border. It's absolutely
they were quite interested in Jeroen's aniseed licorice sweets as well, weren't they? Like Benny was like caning these things, trying to prove that they were just sweets and not some kind of illicit drug.
Yeah, he did. They
thought it was Shimano running. Yeah.
They love some Dutch aniseed Dutch licorice. Yeah. So
they were convinced it was drugs. Absolutely convinced. And because because he was getting such a grilling, so Benny was getting such a grilling because obviously long haired, and I think they were going, oh yeah, must be English, it must be a druggie, and you got licorice drugs in your car. So I took him out and put him in my vehicle because an old man like me, I wouldn't be doing drugs, would I? He says, kind of. But so I then actually ended up caning them all anyway because I absolutely love it. I used to live in Germany. Obviously a squaddy brat, so I grew up nipping across the border into Holland and picking up the Dutch licorice, and it was like going back to my childhood. So
that was our initial experiences of like, oh my goodness, not just getting into the country. And I think they've actually made things tighter getting into the country for reasons of, for bona fide reasons of tightening things up, because it would be easy to, like, I guess the idea is that you could import loads of trucks into Ukraine under the auspice, under the pretense that they are aid trucks, and then actually sell them. And so, there are ways to cheat the system, the humanitarian system. So I presume this is all, for good reason that it was difficult for us. But it has become more and more difficult to do what we were doing. And I think that was a learning curve for Ivan from Car for Ukraine, because he's like, right, now we need to know what your experience has actually taught us, that we need to have this paperwork and we need to have this, so going forward it will be easier for them. So then we experienced Lviv. We went to a partisan restaurant one night with Ivan. That was an amazing experience. This is an underground restaurant where you turn up and there's this old guy that asked for a password, and the password I think was Herium Slava. I think and then so he gives you a tot of vodka or whatever it is, and then you're allowed in. But this restaurant, there's no sign for it. Like it is a famous restaurant. People know where it is because it is quite iconic, and I guess touristy in that way. But actually, it's an amazing place. So adorned with all this stuff, partisan sort of paraphernalia, guns, grenades, all this carry on, and you get let in through this door that you wouldn't know the restaurant was there. And then we went and had this absolutely wonderful meal with Ivan from Car for Ukraine, who's such an amazing guy. Many people many of you will know him from live streams that he's been on and whatnot on the various channels. And then eventually we handed over the trucks in Lviv after spending a few days there and doing a few things, going to the cemetery, going to a few bits and pieces in Lviv, and then sort of handing over these trucks and seeing one of the workshops where they have some of these trucks that have come back from the front line that have been absolutely shellacked, and then looking to get these back on the road. And that was, one of our trucks was actually handed. This wasn't one that we had delivered out there, but one, because we had done the fundraising earlier than we delivered some of the trucks. Some of them had already got out there, had been painted up, had the armor put in, and we saw one of the trucks get sent off to the front line. One of our trucks had the back cut off and multiple launch rockets tubes put on them. So that it's really good to see this whole process firsthand, to see how transparent it is, to see the people who are working on these trucks, how dedicated they are. And Ivan is just a force of nature, the guy that is. There's JR. That is kind of organizing this, but actually it's the brainchild of a guy called Roman, who's a bit of a TV. He's quite famous, I think, locally. He's actually the guy that started this up. So yeah, it was really good to see one of those trucks go on its way, at least as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about you guys. Don't know if you've got anything to say about sort of handing over the trucks and seeing the setup. Any sort of
just one thing one thing that struck me was that he said the British trucks are really useful because the Russian drone pilots are always aiming for the typical driving side, which of course for us is a different one. So it felt extra good just that, our weird driving on the left-hand side of the road thing works really well for Ukraine.
Look at JR in the middle there. So this is something where there are snipers. That guy in the orange jacket is the guy behind Car for Ukraine. The snipers often go for the driver's side, and of course if it's a British vehicle, then the driver's side's on the other side, and so it can lead to drivers surviving. What they also do is, as you can see around the battery here, there is a lot more reinforcement there. So they tinker with these vehicles. You can see the grille at the front is reinforced. They tinker with these vehicles and make sure that they are able to withstand a bit of shrapnel and whatnot, and then send them on their way. You can see in the driver's door there, but it's the same for all four doors. You've got a bit of armored protection for the head there. And Ivan showed us a video previously, or actually some drone footage of a vehicle, one of their vehicles that have been hit, and you could see it like completely blown apart, but actually all four people got out apparently of the vehicle and survived, predominantly because there was that armor on it. So so that was good. And then unfortunately a number of us, myself and Benny got really ill in Lviv and was basically, he was out of it for a couple of days. I got ill, and that really, really affects my MS. So as many of you will know, I've got multiple sclerosis, and my mobility is not very good on the best of days. I got totally ill, and it meant and it just came on me when we were in a train station in Lviv. Dan, by which stage, Dan, actually you'd sadly left us at this point, so you
I felt it coming on and just ran away. I felt so bad. I was like just looking at all the tweets. You guys were clearly just dropping like flies and dying and having a really tough time, especially you, JP. I mean, it sounded so difficult for you all. And I was there because Benny had it, or had come down on my last day there. And I think I gave him a kind of patting hug like that at a distance to say goodbye, just, bye, Benny, love you, see you. But yeah, I felt so bad for you all.
I loved our last night in the hostel, in the hotel, where we were sitting in my hotel room just drinking whiskey and beer, and Mark from the little whiskey shop had brought out like 28-year-old single malt whiskeys, and I'm no whiskey drinker particularly, but I really enjoyed that actually. And you're a bit of a whiskey buff, and so is JR. It turns out we didn't really know this, but he's a whiskey aficionado too. And so everyone was made up that Mark had there he's got some. Everyone's made up that Mark had brought some quality
little whiskey shop recommended, folks.
So Dan's last night was lovely. We're like in my room, and we're just getting to know each other really well. It's quite sad, I think, that Dan left. In fact, I probably will never forgive him that he just did a runner and left us to it. But
it's because I'm better than you, because I have to do an age run, because I don't like to talk about it.
I'm back again. I was listening to that. Yeah, it was a 20. I think it was a 28-year-old Lefroy. In fact, there's a box. There's a box there. it was yeah, quite an expensive one. It's about 950 quid a bottle, I think, or something daft like that. But that's why you liked it so much.
Yeah.
It's
the only whiskey I'll drink now, Mark.
Yeah. Well, I can arrange a bottle for you if you want to buy one. Yeah.
Yeah, less so. I did appreciate the kindness, though. So yeah, we had a.
Yeah, I was going to say it actually was a rescue from a drop. Putting it away, it fell about 8 inches, if that, and it is in the wooden box, and it cracked enough. That tiny little fall, unfortunately, was on concrete, and it broke. The bottle, broke, and I had to rescue this bottle and quickly get it decanted out and to save it.
How convenient, Mark. Oh, sweetheart, I've dropped the 980 quid bottle of whiskey.
That'd be a tax write-off, wouldn't it, Mark?
Yeah, shit happens occasionally.
Yeah, on purpose sometimes too. But yeah,
this one was I was horrified, but secretly happy. I think I only lost about 20% of it, probably something like that. But yeah.
Actually, so Grunge thing, it's not actually Dan who does the selling. He does the drinking. It's Mark that does the selling. But do you sell bourbon, Mark, or is that a swear word?
Well, yes. So we've actually just got some Canadian replacement for the bourbon. So yeah, Canadian corn whiskies. We've got a couple of those in, so that we can start to push them. I'm not at the moment. I'm currently not. I'm not buying any more bourbon in at the moment. So when it runs out, unless things have changed, then it's run out. But if situation changes and I'm not so pissed off with Americans, then I'll start getting it back in.
No offense, Americans.
So Michael, it's not you. Yeah, no, and it's not Canadian Club. I can't remember what it is, but it's a couple of corn ones. In fact, it was independent bottlers. We got the Canadian whiskey.
And it's nice to know that Mark is also, hopefully, because I'm hoping this is going to happen, so I can also going to get some Ukrainian wine in as well, so that he's found a supplier, so that'll be good.
I'm going up to London a couple of weeks' time to do some tasting to make sure that I get the best stuff in.
Oh yeah, sounds good to me. Excited, Mark. So what happened is we're in the station, just getting ready to go to a couple of hours waiting at the station. One of these big old Soviet era stations in Lviv. Quite an impressive bit of, I guess, building. And I could just tell myself I was going down. And then we were just getting ready to walk to the platform. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to walk now. And so Yaroslava, she's Ukrainian, she was like, right, I'll go and get a wheelchair. And the thing is, there are no lifts. Like the accessibility is Soviet era as well. And so she went to get this wheelchair, and they required her passport for it. She's like, we've got to get the train. He's up there. He's the other end of the station. He can't like we need to whack him in a wheelchair and roll into the train. Toot sweet. And they're like, no, we need a passport for the wheelchair. So she was raging. She got a passport, whacked me in a wheelchair, wheeled me to the bottom of the stairs. And this is like quite a big set of stairs up to the platforms. And honestly, my legs, like, I could just about manage dolly steps at the max. It was amazing to see. I mean, it'd be interesting, you guys, to see someone's body just deteriorate in a matter of like half an hour, and I suddenly just couldn't walk. And it's not like it's just the signals from my brain to my body, right? So and Jonathan Fink like walked me up, and I've never put so much effort. That was one of, and I said this at the time, that was one of the most difficult physical things I've ever done, is walking up that set of stairs with Jonathan Fink. Not because of Jonathan Fink, that's not the difficult part. He was amazing and helping. It doesn't help. But actually, all of you were just the most tremendous human beings in the amount of assistance and arms you gave me and stability you gave me, and it was absolutely wonderful. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for that. But Fink walked me up, and that was just so difficult. They whacked me in a wheelchair, It got me to the edge of this train, and these Soviet era trains also, they're not like in the UK where you just step onto the train at the level. You've got to climb up. The trains are up here. The platform, there's a really big difference between the platform and the train. And everyone, like, there was a mass throng because they didn't really do a queue, so everyone's charging at the person to get on the train. These are big, like, night sleeper trains, and you know, everyone's rushing on there. And there was me, and you guys were trying to push me and say, look, this guy's disabled, but everyone just thought I was pissed. I think genuinely people just thought I was
piss Brit.
British.
Absolutely.
Yeah, piss Brit on holiday. He's supposed to be in Benidorm. What's he doing in?
Got lost.
Yeah. So in Ukraine, in the war zone. So yeah, and then and in all honesty, like, that was horrific because I was essentially thrown onto the train. Like, you hoiked me up, Mark, with your big army beefcake body, hoiked me up onto the train, and then I was just crumpled on the floor, unable to move. And then I had to try and get to the toilet. And I can tell you, when you've got MS and you can't move and your bladder is weak, things go wrong. And that was one of the moments where things went wrong. And I just thank you all for just being understanding in the fact that you've got a complete invalid who's then can't get himself to the toilet quick enough. So that was an absolute freaking disaster.
It was a real eye opener, because obviously we've seen you when you're fine, and okay, you can tell you're a bit doddery at that, but on the whole, yeah, you're absolutely fine. I mean, you stood up for 2 hours, 3 hours at the talk, pretty much, that you did with us. So, you know, and then to see you go from being pretty much fine to absolutely losing your legs and losing ability to walk and all the rest of it, you know, in the space of it, as you say, you were fine, and then about 15 minutes later you weren't. It happened so immensely quickly. It was a real eye opener.
Yeah, and we got to Kyiv eventually, doing the night train, which is an experience in itself, and Pierre's done many a night train. But we got to Kyiv, and I wanted us to stay, and it's a little bit more expensive. It's not incredibly expensive considering where it is, but you got the Hotel Ukrainska right in the center of Kyiv, in the Hotel Maidan, and in the Maidan Square area. And it's a really iconic building, and I wanted us to stay there primarily because of its iconic status and the views you get from there, but also because when the air raid sirens go off, you bloody hear it. And they've got this tannoy system that says, get up, please don't be, I forget what, Pierre, what is it says there on the tannoy?
Just get the fuck out of there.
It sounds like don't be complacent, isn't it?
That's it.
Like
But it just goes on. It goes on. Yeah. It's
tries to make
quite
it
a
feel
long
really bad.
speech. Yeah. I just got to say one thing about the train. Yeah. That was hell of an experience, but I think it's the hardest night I ever had in Ukraine. I spent over a year there, and it's much not just because of you, JP, but like Benny's cough, man. It was like it felt like someone had rabies or something. Like
Benny was about 2 to 3 days ahead of you all in contracting it, wasn't he? He was first.
It was like, and it was so hot. Do you remember? Do you remember how hot it was?
Also really insightful.
You were all still ill, like weeks after you got back, weren't you? You felt the effects. It was an absolute beast.
It was a killer. This was a beast of an illness.
And I've never been so appreciative of an early check-in in a hotel as Hotel Ukraine that day. Do you remember?
Yeah, they actually allowed us to get into the room like 6 hours early.
Because it was it was
and then I was
a blessing.
I was that ill for the next couple of nights that when I needed the loo in the middle of the night, and this happened because my MS was going mental. I was having to get up every couple of hours to go, and my body wasn't working, and I had to literally crawl. I crawled to the toilet in the hotel room, quite big hotel rooms these as well, big old Soviet rooms. Just crawled to the toilet like 6-7 times in a night. I'm like, this is what my life has come to. Like, I'm crawling to the toilet, crawling back to bed, and then dying. And I was like, yeah, I'm really glad we come to Ukraine. I'm dying.
You had a doctor visit. The measure of your dedication, JP.
Yeah.
Well,
And
so
also
what
it's
happened-
really insightful as well, since you, because of all the injuries that happens to soldiers, they're going to have to use the public transport as well. So
yeah,
really
so, I
suited
get
for
why.
that.
Yes, yeah, no, and this is why Yaroslava, and this is a point for the audience out there. A really serious point here, and Yaroslava was so this Ukrainian woman who is doing education in the UK, doing a PhD in the UK, and she came out and she was amazing with us, and but she, like, that whole thing with the having to get a wheelchair and give a passport over, and then there was no lifts, and I had to walk up, and they had to lug the wheelchair up the stairs, and then there was no understanding on the platform from the people, from the train conductors, and then so on and so forth, and so it went on, and she was like, accessibility is going to be an absolute focus. It's going to be an absolute necessity for the so many Ukrainian soldiers who are going to be disabled as a result of the war, that they absolutely need to be on it. And she was raging about how poor the provision was for disabled people, because I was going through it and it was bad.
With our vans, because like you bring over generators and food, tin food and stuff, it's really heavy, right? So you end up with a load of volume in the vans. So we go round to the care homes, and like in this country, once someone's finished with a Zimmer frame, I mean, generally they passed on, right? Or a wheelchair, they don't reuse them as a general rule. So we collect them from the care homes, and they're great because they take up loads of volume without weighing that much. So, on top of all that aid will be, I tried to pick up 14 the other day, and it ended up being 13, because you're trying to tessellate these things into the back of a Golf. You've got all the seats flat, you're trying to work out how many Zimmer frames can you fit in, right? It's like a Guinness World Record or something. But the sad truth is that it is going to be so important, and I wonder whether that's why we're better, because we had all the Second World War, people to deal with. Yeah, not just soldiers, exactly. It is going to be something that matters a lot, and it already does, right? It's already forming a key part of the aid they ask us for. Really?
So they are actually asking you for that as well?
Yeah, and as I say, it really helps to just, because you don't want to look at an empty van, even if you know it's full, on the legal way, not over at all. But, it's good to fill it up with those kind of things. But yeah, they ask us for those, unfortunately, because they're needed.
Yeah,
I mean, there's not much they can really do when you think about it. Those trains, they're 6 foot high, just to get in from, they're 6 foot above the platform height. So unless you completely re-engineer a new rolling stock, or you have to have raised platforms or lifts on the platform to get you up there. So, and there's no lift to get up from the tunnel up to the platforms as well. So I just don't know quite what they're going to do. But you're right, it's going to become more of an issue the longer the war goes on.
Yeah, definitely. It is. This is one. Oh no, this is one for you. It's JR bloody in the chat talking about whiskey. So this is one for you, Mark. But it's you and your whiskies, guys. You and your whiskies. So then we're in the Hotel Ukraine skirt. Is that the correct way of saying it? And yeah. And Zhenya, I got to know that I was really ill, and Zhenya's amazing. So he's got a medical background. I think he trained as a doctor, and then he became a sort of minister, and then he's working now in just 100% of his life is channeled into humanitarian, well, not human aid for the Ukrainian army. Actually shifted from humanitarian to supporting the army, and he was like, right, I'm going to get you a doctor. So in the end he couldn't get me a doctor, but the doctor gave this other guy a soldier, and he came to my hotel room with a bunch of pills, and then I was using Google Translate. It's just amazing. It's like, Zhenya, you're such a legend. And then this guy gave me all these pills, and I did a Zoom call with Zhenya, and he was talking me through all the pills, and that was just wonderful to have support from Zhenya as well. But yeah, and it's interesting. I got a bit of a pushback by a couple of people. One person, I think, on one of my live streams or on one of my videos, saying, how irresponsible of you to have gone to Ukraine because you're putting a drain on their system when you're disabled or whatever." I was like, to be fair, I put no drain whatsoever on the Ukrainian system. I put a drain on you guys, right? You guys sorted me out, and those pills was Zhenya just get me some just over the counter stuff, really. I was. Yeah, so I just want to defend myself, and I don't think it was irresponsible for me to go to Ukraine. I think there's a net positive for everything we did there. But even for me personally, as being a YouTuber trying to amplify the messages and everything, hopefully it's a positive for Ukraine.
It really struck me, JP.
Sorry. So say that, JR, and then we go to Dan. What was that, JR?
Okay. Yeah. Besides the fundraiser, we also spending money in Ukraine as well. So we're not only helping with the fundraising, but also spending local businesses.
That's a really good point, actually, JR. Yeah.
And that's also something that I asked for with one of my Ukrainian friends, asking for if it's really war tourism or you're supporting Ukraine and also spending money there as well.
Yeah, so I think I think we talked about this, which is like, I'd love to be able to go on holiday to Ukraine, just generally now, because I just think I'd rather put my money into Ukraine to help the Ukrainian economy than anywhere else on earth. But of course, it's not this kind of place you want to be going on holiday, but actually, why not if you can do it safely? But I wouldn't take my family. But do you know what I mean? I think that's a really good point, JR. Dan, what were you going to say?
Well, just in reference to that, I told my family I'm more at risk on my motorbike than I am driving to Lviv, right?
Yeah.
Or Kyiv at the time. But with the air defense, America not selling air defenses. Hopefully that'll change with this minerals deal. I haven't gone through all the details yet, but that's appalling. But I just wanted to say something that sunk in with me over the trip is just how much support that you and Jonathan think engender and build, the communities that you've built, and the support that those $10 donations and those 50, every single thing comes together. That big community that you build as YouTubers, it hadn't really sunk in with me before. It was like you were getting the news out there and keeping everyone interested. That's fine. You're actually raising, making those funds get raised because people trust you. When the whole thing kicked off that first night, I can remember trying to find a charity I could put money into that I could trust, and you're just terrified. You hear Ukraine's corrupt, and I've never heard of any of these things. And what do I just throw money at the Red Cross? And you just, no, it's going to be half of it's going to go in some advertising campaign for more, or just you want to do something real. And the charities that we visited, Cast for Ukraine and Discus 4, we know they're real, and that money now. I felt difficult. I didn't ask you for an interview for this last trip because I didn't want to detract any of the fundraising going from those two charities.
Yeah,
they are really good, and I think you start trying to do those calculations of where's it best to put the money. And I've got to tell people, even though I'm going on this trip and I've raised funds and I've done what I can to make this happen, I'm looking at Discus Poor and Cast for Ukraine and going, that's real bang for buck. Anyway,
that's a really good point, Dan. Unfortunately, you are competing when there's only so many people interested in Ukraine and only so much money, and you're competing for people's generosity amongst these different charities. And I get that. And like JR is often talking to me about like what fundraising we should do and should we do this, and I'm always in the back of my mind that I don't want to overdo it for people. I don't want to be like pushing too much in terms of charity fundraising, but then that's up to them whether they, I guess, want to donate, and if they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. And but it is amazing what some of these what the community here does, and the community of all these YouTube channels, Jonathan Thinks, everyone's just amazing. And also, you know, people like Car for Ukraine and Jiggers Paul that we met again. That's worth mentioning. That was in Lviv. Jiggers Paul were just a superb bunch of people, and we met Irina and her husband Dimitro, who is now serving with the unmanned vehicles forces, or whatever it is,
autonomous vehicles or something, was it? But yeah, I mean,
yeah. So you know,
amazing.
Just awesome people doing awesome things. But yeah, going back to Kyiv, and then we're in Kyiv, and we got to experience going to places like that one day where I just got back on my feet. I was like, right, I think I can just about walk. Let's do everything. And we just like went to Bucha, Borodyanka, and then, you know, Irpin, and we saw like we saw 4 Banksies in a day. I mean, that's a world record. And one fake one, which Pierre was very, very adamant that was not a real one. But I think he was justified in the end for that claim. But more importantly, we got to see all of the very famous places that you saw on the news early doors at the beginning of the war, and bridges that were blown, and you know, buildings that were destroyed, and Bucha massacre, and we got to go and see the memorial site for those victims of Bucha. And then when you've actually been there and you join these dots, it gets, I don't know if you guys feel this, but like I get even more incensed when you see, or you don't see them as much anymore, but like the kind of conspiracy theories, Butcher never happened, it was an inside job, and you like, just feck off. No, it wasn't, that kind of thing. I don't know. I found that an important day to go and see some of these iconic places.
I agree. I've been to one of the buildings inside, and then I think you've showed a video of going through the destroyed bathroom and destroyed the houses. And you just have to remember, even when we were there, it was all cleaned up as well. So we saw quite a lot of destruction, but not really the destruction.
Yeah, so I mean, that's nothing compared to say a big city like, I don't know, Bakhmut, for example. Of course, you know, you get these different levels of destruction. Yeah.
There's only a few buildings and that, but as opposed to the whole area, flat. And
also new buildings have raised already, so they replaced it because there are really
If you remember, we were at that bombed out block of flats, and then we walked around the corner, and there was a brand new school with massive playgrounds that has all been done by
USAID.
Exactly. And then what happens a few weeks later? Well, obviously gets bitten by Trump, and it's just shocking. And that was, but it was lovely, just going from devastation to brand new life coming back into it. I mean, that was just awesome to see.
It's not surreal.
Yeah, so that was I think really important to go and see those places and get the footage and sorry, Dan, I forgot, I didn't see you there.
I dropped out. I've gone back on Wi-Fi.
The other thing that struck me was you had that pile of civilian cars that had I'm
going to find them. I'll find
the sunflowers painted on it, but you could tell that they weren't accidental, because I counted 50 odd shots on one of the vehicles alone, where clearly the Russians had just let rip with multiple machine guns fire into the vehicle to make sure they killed that civilian who was driving that car. It was absolute clear and evident murder.
So this is Irpin, and you can see like bullet shrapnel effects on these buildings. There's one of the Banksies with bullet holes and shrapnel effects on there, and then just some more pictures of that. But this was the House of Culture, I think it was, and sadly, you know, it's seen better days, and quite incredible to see these kind of images of what should be a cultural icon in the local community being damaged in this way, and seeing all these scars of war. But if we get to, I'm just gonna, so that's inside it. The destruction was pretty incredible. Just the sheer sign of war, right? There's another one. That's the one that Pierre was like, that's not Banksy. But apparently there was a Banksy there, but it fell down and someone else replaced it.
They took it. They've still got it. They took it away.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. See, this is the usefulness of having Pierre as a kind of semi-local, knows all the ins and outs of these things.
Can I just point out those Banksies were more from Bristol with love?
Hey?
Those Banksies, I just wanted to point out, that's more from Bristol with love. It's Bristol boy.
Oh, yeah, he's a Bristol boy. He's from Bristol. Yeah. That's one that was that's a famous one where you got the kid giving a judo chop to Putin, which is fantastic. Obviously, with Putin being a judo man himself, supposedly.
Shevchensky.
Oh yeah, that's Shevchenko, isn't it? With a bullet hole in his head.
Put it in his head. Yeah.
When another Banksy there, but I'm trying to find
Yeah. Can I just say something about tourism? Like, because I spent a couple of days in Krakow and saw how busy it was. I really think more people should go to Ukraine, and I kind of endorse it and encourage it. Really.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like, yeah. The whole risk element to it is really minimal. Let's be honest about it.
Like, you're several hundred miles from the front lines in most of the cities you'll be going to. I honestly meant that.
Yeah.
I said riding by motorbike is way more dangerous than going to Lviv.
Yeah.
The same's true of Kyiv.
And I would even say in Kramatorsk, right, 30 kilometers from the front or whatever, you have more chance of dying in a road accident than by a bomb or something. Like, I'm not saying everyone should go to Kramatorsk, but like going to Kyiv or Lviv, it's just do it.
Human brains are no good at processing risk and assessing it properly. They're just not built for that. They hear stories and then they think that danger's equal to some other story they heard. Stats don't have anything to do with the way people think. It's a shame.
I think you would get. My personal thoughts is that the sooner they can, get air flights, flights into Ukraine, the better. But then, of course, as Dan was saying, air defense is now struggling. As I keep saying every morning, like the interception rates have gone down. Things are looking riskier at the moment in terms of intercepting these Shahed drones, particularly, and that becomes an extra risk. But I would personally go to Ukraine more often if I could fly. I honestly think I would be there. Fairly frequently. Like it takes us, like, if we were to do, and I know Mark's, like, we talked about this again, like if we were to do another trip out there with some more trucks, then that is 2 to 3 days getting there and sorting it out. And rather than if you've got a flight in, I know it's a different thing, visiting rather than delivering a truck, they're two different things, but actually you generally, even if you're going to go as quickly there as possible, you're flying to Krakow, you're getting a train, you're getting another train, and then you're arriving in Kyiv or you're arriving in Lviv. So I really do think
if you can get a Ryanair flight to Rezov, what's it called?
Reznow.
Yeah. You can be. I think it's really hard. It's like Przemyśl. You can be in Lviv within 4 hours. It's just a transfer. Like, and
as
everything's
long as
half the
you don't have
price.
Tobacco in your suitcase.
Do you know they've run out of tobacco in Ukraine again? It happened last year. There's no tobacco whatsoever.
I'm going back on Saturday, Pierre. I'll sort it.
There's money to be made there, Dan. Yeah, get on it.
I'm trying to show you this video of us walking around the vehicles that Mark was just talking about. I've got bloody fly. You know it's summer when no one's around.
That's what.
I presume you can't hear that.
So but it's really interesting. They've put up barcodes, and did you notice that they're preparing it for like tours and stuff? All these places.
Really?
Well, like there they had like a barcode. Do you remember the House of Culture? They had one there with a map. You know, it's
right.
It's a good thing. Like to inform people and give them.
Yeah, you can be really cynical about that, but at the end of the day, what do you want? You want people to support Ukraine, and you want Ukraine to be able to stand on its own 2 feet. And if that includes war tourism to kind of to commercialize their predicament, then I know. Sorry,
educate as well.
Yeah, that's a good
it's
point.
education. Yeah, it's not tourism so much. Yeah.
Then I don't have a problem with that. So you'll see. Sorry, this is me. Look how good my walking is.
What's your better days?
Marching.
Yeah, I'm on fire. I can run. Here you can see lots of bullet holes that Mark is kind of referencing. That vehicle at the top there on the top right, shrapnel holes, and then there are some that are definite bullet holes. But yeah, all of these are civilian vehicles that have been taken out by the Russians in the area, and it's and I think the colors are pretty remarkable here. As vehicles burn, they oxidize like that, and getting them painted with sunflowers, I think, is pretty apt. But
it shows the difference between Ruski Mir and Ukraine. Well, doesn't it? That?
Yeah.
And that Slava Ukraini at the top there, that's what that says, as far as I can read. But yeah, all of these vehicles, many of them shot up as well as just being destroyed. So you can see even on this vehicle on the left there by my cursor, you've got what looks like bullet holes at the back of that. But yeah, so that was another place that we saw, and then we did a number of things in the Kyiv area. We got to see the city itself. You guys put me on a bloody electric scooter where trying your hardest to kill me. We had all sorts of different experiences. What do you guys remember? Anything that you want to share with the audience at all, particularly? No? Oh, that's the end of that then.
I wasn't there. I'd left by that point.
That was probably the best part, Dan, wasn't it? We only had to put up with you for about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. I was just, I was only joking when I said I was upset you didn't join us for the rest of it. No. In fact,
I've still got one of your illicit packs of tobacco in my study. So I need to remember to drop it into you at some point.
I've got more than I know what to do with. Apparently, I'm a massive international tobacco smuggler now, so don't worry about it.
Well, our claim to fame is that we have actually been refused entry into Poland. So luckily we got stamped in and stumped out, and nothing. There's no record of being refused. I think so. Otherwise we probably would never have been able to go back again.
It's fine. I've got a new passport a couple of months ago, so there's no record of any of this happening except this.
Excellent. So JP, I think some of the other bits. I mean, just meeting some of the local Ukrainians was just phenomenal. The people in all the restaurants who were serving us were just amazing, and it was great. Google, as you say, Google Translate is fantastic. I think I had about a 20-minute piss conversation with one of the girls in the bar where we were staying at a hostel, where we were just conversing with each other using Google Translate, and it was just brilliant. But it was
just remind me, Mark. Actually, Yaroslava, we met her parents. We went and I said I would interview her, and I'd totally forgotten. And you spoke to her for ages.
It's just fantastic. A really lovely woman, and their experience, because they were up near the airfield. How much further is it? The airport.
Hostomel.
And so they were just to the southwest of there. So the Russians got all the way down to where they were living, and they had to flee. The story she was telling about it was just it was horrifying. So I won't tell it, because I think I do think you should get her on. She's very her English is absolutely fantastic.
Well, she's an English teacher, isn't she?
English teacher, exactly. And the story is just it's just great. And you can not only just their experience, but also what's happening on since. And because of where they are, they've got air defense systems quite near them, so they're seeing a lot of air defense going on, missiles coming in. They've got quite a story to tell.
Yeah, definitely. Remind me this week, Mark. That's something I must do. I'd completely forgotten that. But yeah, I mean, there's so much. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and then it was other people. And then just randomly bumping into two medics, combat medics who spotted our car and said, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" This shot's getting one of those, and it would be fantastic if we could get them one, because they needed it for Kyiv, etc. So just bumping into them randomly in the middle of nowhere, on the streets. And I was just in fact, there's a police car where I was parked. I was thinking, oh God, I haven't parked illegally, so I wandered over and bumped into those guys. And then you got so that was fantastic. And I've just completely forgotten what the other one was.
Did you put them in contact with Car for Ukraine?
So I have, unfortunately, Car for Ukraine have got a long waiting list, and I think when I spoke to them, they weren't taking any new requests on. That may have changed now. I keep every once in a while pinging them saying, any chance that they can get one. But also, I think what was interesting back to when we first arrived at 2:00 in the morning, and we saw sirens, police cars all over the place, and we're quite fearful we're going to get stopped. And then we kind of I think I was the lead vehicle, actually, wasn't I? Yeah. So I decided, right, I'm just going to drive for the hell of it, and be bold and brass and just drive straight through all these checkpoints where they're stop waving people over. And if you look confident, then you probably get away with it. And we did exactly that. And we got through. And I think, reflecting on it, it's probably because you can see we're in a British vehicle, so therefore we were probably going to be Brits or humanitarian people, etc. So that's, I think, why we didn't get stopped. But everywhere we went, people would let us out where they wouldn't letting other people out, and so I think people kind of associate those big vehicles, particularly English ones over there, with people doing something to support Ukraine.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just being sidetracked to having a conversation in a live chat about tea, what tea I drink, which is, of course, very important. Just to remind people, please help out with the Car for Ukraine campaign. Something that JR's behind all our campaigns in terms of, and Chris needs a shout out, Chris Jones. In fact, I'm going to show you guys some possible logos that Chris has designed. He's done all of the apparel logos. So when I'm wearing this is Chris Jones has designed that, because he's a legend. But here we got ATP Geopolitics. So I might have probably one of these. I mean, he sent me about 20 different ones, and these are the three that I think would fit the best. But
are these to go on the vehicles?
Well, on any, I don't know. Anyway,
on the drones,
I might. Initially, it was the Jiggers Paw drones that have been that have been fundraised for, and they're going to engrave the drones. That's something that they're going to do. So I wanted a logo rather than anything else like my face on my NAFO thing. Like whatever. No, I need a logo. So he's gone and designed some logos, and I think they're really cool. So I'm gonna choose one and go with that. But yes, somebody says so. Yorkshire Tea. So interestingly, that's a famous meme Yorkshire Tea actually responded to, like during the Brexit era. There was someone that was like banging on about, God, can't even make tea. Or anyway, it was just completely misunderstood that tea wasn't actually made. We don't grow it in Yorkshire; it's grown in India and Sri Lanka and places. Absolutely classic. Don't tell anyone we don't grow any tea in Yorkshire. Quite Ed. So anyway, yes, it was for me. It was an absolutely wonderful experience. I mean, there's so much more that can be said about all, that which we did and who we met. There's a lot of, for me, it was very useful. I mean, Jonathan Fink is very much like this, which is all about, not all about, but for him, he networked really, really successfully. All about making connections, which then allows him to get these really powerful interviews with big movers and shakers. And it was great to be a part of that, and I met some people through that. I'm just more of a bumble through the day, to experience these things and try and Ivan, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Hello. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You're a little dark.
We can't see you really.
Oh, you can?
No.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you are.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I just dropped my sister-in-law in hospital. She'll have some surgery. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, sorry I'm driving, but I didn't want to miss it. So
that's great that you could pop along. We were talking about. There's a bit of an echo, and I can hear myself speak. But in fact, what I'm going to do is I'll mute you. Oh no, that's good. Thanks for that. So yeah, Ivan is one of the main guys behind Car for Ukraine, and he essentially, facilitated us getting out there. He was point man for us. He was absolutely wonderful human. He was a great host in Lviv, and he does an awful lot for Car for Ukraine. Ivan, do you want to just talk us through how you got involved in Car for Ukraine?
Yeah. Basically, was the necessity, right? I was in Lviv when in the western part of Ukraine when the war was already going on, when Kherson was occupied. And I'm from Kherson. That's where my parents are. That's where my parents were. And I couldn't just stand and watch what's happening. I had to do something. That's why, we came up with the idea that we need to help our soldiers with something they desperately need. And cars has been always a thing.
Yeah, they're always useful cars. Do you know how long vehicles last on average when you provide them to units, Ivan?
It really depends. There are cases where we still see cars from the first year of war, and there are cases when they are gone within a week. Like the one we actually just delivered to this Easter Pisanki campaign that we have. We've delivered one truck with Rick the Ukrainian that he has raised money for, and the car was gone like next week. No, not next week, same week.
Yeah, and that's such a shame. And obviously, you get a chance.
Yeah, but the guy is alive. The one who received the car, he was on the positions, and the car was going to the positions. So so he's on the positions now. He was waiting for the car to come to bring something, supplies or anything, but he didn't make it. And the guys who were in the car, they were injured, but alive.
That's really
Thanks,
important.
God.
Yeah. And I was saying earlier that you showed us imagery of, a vehicle that had been taken out where the armor that you put in there yourselves had potentially contributed to the people surviving that explosion?
I think, yeah, if I wanted to make a story look very nice, I would say so. In this case, I think it didn't really help because there was a mine from underneath. So it's just
Right. Fair enough.
We don't put armor everywhere, right? It's a normal civilian car, and we armor it as much as it makes sense. So basically, the soldiers over there, they don't always worry about having armor all over the place. What they worry about is to make sure they're not going to be spending much money on the car, and they will have a reliable car driving around. As weird as it may sound, because they think about the long term usage of the car rather than let's make it like a Mad Max mode right now. They like, no, let's. Sometimes they will say, don't drive as crazy as hell. If a drone is about to hit you, they will hit you anyway. So save car, It's different ideologies, I would say, how people treat those cars, and that results in how long the cars last over there. So yeah, anything from like 2 days to 3 years, I would say.
Right, and anywhere in between. What's your?
Can I ask you?
Oh, sorry, yes.
But what the lifespan is for those tube rocket launchers we sponsored as well?
Yeah, so Van, those ones with the multiple launch rocket tubes on the back, I presume they would likely last a bit longer because they'll be used further back. Maybe it depends. I mean, these vehicles used in so many different ways.
Yeah. That one is definitely less, I would say, sensitive in terms of being hit. Even though like long story short, they last longer. I don't know about any of them being targeted, but I'm now involved in a different project as well. It's not a volunteering project. It's more of a business-related project on developing technologies for various things like mid-strike, deep strike drones, etc. But as a part of developing that, we are talking a lot to soldiers who are using deep strike drones, and they tell us about different decision making and different nuances about what you encounter when you're on the front line, when you need to launch a drone, what you need to be aware of. And one of the things is Russia has hacked a lot of reconnaissance, or what's that called, ISR, intelligence surveillance reconnaissance drones. A lot of them, like 10 times more than Ukraine does, which is why we're hitting them with FPV drones. And as a result of that, when you are driving a car like that rocket launcher, anywhere close like 50 kilometers to the front line where we meet them, it's all monitored. It's not the question whether they will see you. It's the question of how fast they will see you and whether you'll be able to hit and leave before they see you and send a strike drone onto you. So speed in those pickup trucks, the speed of when you get there and you get the hell out from there as fast as possible. This is very important, and that's why soldiers need more and more of those rocket launchers now, because they're safer than driving all the way to the front line to do something, right? You're still a bit farther, so there's still time that a drone will be flying into you. You have more time, you're safer, but you're not safe.
Yeah, incredible stuff. I was just trying to download that one of the videos of the rocket launch one, but it's downloading from WhatsApp as always. I've got the Google folders that you've sent me, but I can't find where that one is. But anyway, yeah, I've shown it to my. Hey?
You also have the problem of counter battery fire, right? With those trucks.
I don't know how good Russia's counter battery is really. I don't know. Is it particularly effective anymore? I don't know how much they particularly have success with it.
I think they are pretty effective. The thing is, because the rocket launchers that we use, they have different rockets that they can use. One of the modification is for 20 kilometers, and one of the modification is for 40 kilometers, basically 20 miles, 20 like 30, almost 30 miles. And when you hit that far, it still takes time to fly to that place. And as a result, you hit all those 3 tubes, you wrap up within a minute, and you leave before they find out where you were hitting from, which is why they can be very precise. They can know exactly where you fired from, but the moment they find out about that, you're already gone. And that's why those things are being used more and more on the front line, on a scale, because they are effective. They keep our soldiers alive, and they destroy Russian important things that our reconnaissance drones find.
Just before we go on with that, James is just in a live chat. James from Why Ukraine, and he is someone that we met up with in Kyiv. And in fact, James, look, I'm just going to show peeps your flag is there. That's a drone flag from the 63rd Assault Brigade that James presented to me. In fact, we recorded that presentation about 4 times just so I could get it right, cocked it up so many times. But it seems so genuine every single time. But no, thanks, James. Yeah. Thank you, James, for that, and it's great to hang out with you in person as he is doing his bit for the Ukrainians out there. Yeah, so those rocket launch MLRS trucks, they're pretty impressive things. Ivan, are they dumb munitions that's sent up, or are they now able to use them more precisely?
Yeah, that's actually the beauty of those rocket launchers. They started, originally it comes from Grad, from these systems, the Soviet-made systems where you have like 40 or 50 tubes in it, and the tactical application of those were different. They were used to cover a square, like 4 football fields. Just cover that. You don't have to be precise. That was the purpose for the Grad system. But what our engineers, whom we met in person, what they found out is that you can actually make it pretty precise if you add more you fix some, I would say, inaccuracies with like more time with it, with more precision, and you can make it less. How do I say that? So once you've sent the first rocket into a place, you can you can achieve 10 meters error from the first rocket landing. So you
can zero in fast.
Yeah. So that's a way how you can. That's how close you can get. Like 10 meters. 10 meters.
That's incredible.
From the target.
Just a personal question to Pierre here. Pierre, how close have you been to explosions and whatnot?
FPVs about 80 meters, I think, going off. Explosions, I don't know, like kilometer, I'd say 500 meters,
Yeah.
800. Yeah, mainly just S300s and stuff. But
and one of your guys at base UA, Eddie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Eddie? So he's he's lost limbs in that FPV drone strike on the van, and working for the same organization that you do, and for the grace of the cosmos, that could have been you type thing.
Yeah.
Do you think about that when you're out doing stuff, or do you not do so much of that evacuation stuff now?
In December, January, I was doing a lot of evacuations from Cross, and I really did sense this threat from drones, like just increasing every day. So me and Eddie were kind of rotating a bit. He was doing more of it. I was doing more of the kind of bus shuttle into Pavlograd from Kamyanka, which is just outside Pokrovsk. So they would go in with armored vehicles, come out, and I would take them to Pavlograd. But I was going into Pokrovsk, every few days or something, and yeah, it's just drones have just changed everything. It's just crazy. Yeah, I saw three up in the air at one time, and now you obviously have like the sugar cube, the detector, but we also had this screen that someone just gave us where you could actually watch, get into the drones feed and see what they're seeing. So the whole soundscape of it was slightly terrifying, to be honest.
Oh, I bet. Oh goodness.
And it's windy also, so everything's going zzz, zzz, zzz. It's like enhanced, and you have ear defenders on, which kind of amplifies the sound, and it's all of it. It gets crazy. Drones have changed everything.
So many people have PTSD from the sound of drones. I'm sure
for sure. Yeah.
Just
so when you hear multiple ones, it's just at the same time. It goes on to another level, really.
Yeah. Wow.
What is shocking? Sorry, GP. Is we never been under fire in that sense, but we did as part of our training. We go up to Salisbury Plain, and there's a bunker there, a reinforced bunker, where they then basically artillery round drop on you, and you experience what it's like to be under fire. Your safest houses, reinforced glass and concrete all around you, so it's designed specifically to do that. But you still feel the effects. You still have the rounds going off literally within the eyes of you through this glass. You're feeling the deafening, and just trying to imagine what that is like under real fire. Even just experiencing that where you're completely safe has quite an effect on you. But you then take that into real life in the trench, and you've got those rounds coming in you constantly. It's horrendous.
Sort of Saving Private Ryan beginning, opening scenes of that. Wow.
I'll just say one thing quickly. Sorry. What really stays with you is the soundscape of it all. It's not the visual so much. That's what's. I don't know if you felt that, Mark.
It gets through your bones. It gets right through.
Yeah.
If you're in touch with Eddie at all, I don't want to be exploitative, but I would love to speak to him, do an interview with him.
Yeah.
If he's if he's up for that, but
Yeah, he would be. Yeah. So when I got into Lviv like 2 weeks ago now, because I had that nightmare at the border, I actually spent pretty much a week at Superhumans, just going there every day, and we did manage to take him out.
We were supposed to be there at Superhumans, all of us, but it just fell through because the person who had arranged it or something wasn't there on that day, and we were unable to do it. Sorry, Pierre, carry on.
Well, anyway, it's an amazing place. It's like some space station. It's just like everything you could ask for, really. Yeah.
Have you been there?
That's actually where I'm just coming from.
Wow.
It's not the Superhumans, it's the Unbroken. So there in Lviv there are two, and both with amazing names. So the Unbroken, and from the marketing perspective, when I thought about the name Unbroken, is just brilliant, because they have unbroken kits, unbroken sports, unbroken whatever you put there. It just sounds amazing, and it does resonate with what they do. And I look at the hospital where they put my sister-in-law, and I mean, it's so well done. There's so many businesses who supported the renovation of that place. There is IKEA that that put the furniture inside. So then when the soldiers need to when they have their prosthetics, they will go and use on the kitchen, normal things like they will use spoon or like that. You see on the screen, they'll be using spoon. They'll be sitting on the table. They'll be doing normal things, and it's nice to see that international businesses also got on board and they're helping with it to sort of get back to normal. And it's absolutely fantastic what they do there. I mean, they create hands, legs, but the amount of those things needed is unfortunately far exceeding the available stuff. But it's a nice project.
Yeah, these are well funded, these places, which is great. They get a lot of publicity and stuff. Yeah, really inspiring place to go, actually. So, yeah, I'd recommend it.
It's a real shame that we missed that.
Yeah, there's like 150 patients there with about 100 staff. All different grades of like disability and stuff. But yeah, Prince Harry was there a couple of days before I got there. It's funny.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, he was, and that was really good. I reported on that as well. Claire is in the live chat as well. You're welcome to join us, Claire, if you want. She's a car for Ukraine legend.
Can I add something else? I think Rick, the Ukrainian, also did a live stream from Superhumans as well. It's really nice.
Inside.
Yeah. He also showed.
He actually went to Lviv.
Yeah. I think it was Superhumans at least. I'm not sure anymore.
I think something else, because Superhumans is in Lviv, and I never actually going here because
he's worried about leaving. Yeah.
It could be another hospital then.
Yeah. So one thing I thought when I was in Superhumans is that there's a real severity of like injuries, obviously, but you kind of think it's amazing that these people have survived, right? That's through their like training or their colleagues training, comrades. And I was thinking, like, for everyone here, like probably 2 or 3 have died in the same situation, just from mass bleeding, and it does make you think that place, like.
That's why tourniquets are so important. Yeah, tourniquet saves so many lives because.
It's all about that first minute. Like you realise that, and that was with Eddie.
Hour getting people out.
Yeah, but the first minute is as much as anything for these people that lost limbs. It's just
they say the golden hour and a platinum 5 minutes, is it, or like something like that? So the golden hour, if you can get them to a staging point and blah blah blah. But actually, before you get to that, if you can stop the bleeding within the first few minutes, then that's the life saving.
It's kind of 2 minutes really if you lose a limb, like mass bleeding. I did send some photos of Eddie with Max because we took him out for.
Is that who that was? Right. Okay.
Yeah, because that's Max in his old Volvo. He likes old cars, but and that was the best day he's had since the incident, which is the day we all left Ukraine, if you remember. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But it was amazing. And I just will add, the most special experience I've ever had in Ukraine is Easter. Like, it is incredible. Like there's a big park in Lviv called Shevchensky Park or something, and it's all like singing, games, and I've shared a couple of things with you when I was there, I think, and it was magical. Like if you ever want to go on holiday or something in years to come for Easter, go to Ukraine. Like incredible. So that's Max's car. That's Eddie on the right.
To let the audience know, Max was a fixer who Pierre sorted out for us, who drove us around in a minibus and allowed me to stand on an electric scooter, help run alongside with Benny. But Max was amazing. He came and helped translate when I was speaking to an Azov commander with Kevin Leach, who's a Canadian as well. And this is Eddie here, who worked for Base UA and lost an arm and a leg, as you can see. And hung out here with Max, so that's amazing.
Yeah, we took him out for 2 days. It's the first time he's been out. It's great.
Oh, that's lovely. That's amazing.
But seriously, Easter is such a magical place. Ukraine is such a magical place for to spend Easter in. I'd highly recommend it. Awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So in fact, let's. There should be another picture here. No, let's get it. I presume this is Max as well. In this picture. There we go.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's Margot also, who you met at base Uranium Kramators.
Yeah, I met her when I was in Ukraine the first time. Yeah. And,
that's right.
Oh, that's lovely. Lovely.
So we had to piggyback him for hundreds of meters, but it was worth it. It was great. Good fun.
Oh, good stuff. Oh, brilliant. So Ivan, anything you want to say about the campaign that we're running at the moment, mate?
Yeah. We are just finishing now, preparing 6 vehicles that we'll be sending tomorrow. It was 5 last week and 7 the week before. It's a crazy pace. And the guy who's preparing the trucks, the mechanical part, we were sending them before the Easter on Friday, basically to. One moment. Oh, there you go. Basically, 2 weeks ago, and he said, we are sending now a lot of cars, and then next week probably there will be very few, and next week we got 5, and okay, that's pretty good, and then. Now there are 6 more to come, and they include the donated ones. There are some that we raise funds for, and there is one that will have the ATP Geopolitics on it, and there will be. There also, there will be some names on it. So we took some time to make sure we see everyone who donated. We removed everyone who wanted to be anonymous, and so you'll see that there will be. Basically, we split it into 2 parts, maybe more. We'll see. So depending on how many trucks it will be at the end of the day. But for now, we took the first basically 11K race, and all of the names there, they will be on a truck. So basically, anyone who contributed, doesn't matter what, like €1, €10, €1,000, you will be there with different rankings. And oh, there you go, Cheryl. Good point. That's your chance to donate now. And that will be one of the trucks for the Seraphims. And this will be a solid Toyota Hilux, very fresh, in very good conditions. And the Seraphims, we're in touch with this commander, Sergei Kostinsky. You can see him on the video. Such a great commander. He's he's responsible for almost 100 people in his company, and he is just incredible how he takes care about everyone. He's inviting us to come to him, and he showed us his commanding center. He explained us how things work, how they hunt for the targets, and how the trucks are used, and why exactly they needed all the trucks that they get in. They are all Toyota Hilux, all same model, similar age. So there will be a similar branding out there.
That's amazing. So we are still obviously working on that campaign. Still gonna push for the 2 vehicles there. We are presently at ATP Geopolitics, push ourselves into 4th position, so happy days there. So peeps, were there any other sort of memories from our time in Ukraine that you want to relay at all? I wanted to just what Pierre, and this is going to be deeply controversial, but I do like a bit of tintits, as Pierre would call it.
I went there a couple of days ago. Good old Tinners.
Good old Tinners. She's great. So, as a Ukrainian iconic, landmark. This it was deeply impressive to be there. I don't know. It was really a really still afternoon when we were there, pretty much, and it was just a lovely. I got a lovely feeling just being there, and I thought it was quite an apt sort of closing to our time in Ukraine. I don't know if you guys felt that, Mark, JR, but you know, to see that statue overlook the whole of Kyiv, I thought was really powerful, and it was quite a privilege, I think, to be there. I don't know if you guys have got any thoughts.
Yeah, no, it was quite bizarre because you've got all these ex-Soviet vehicles parked up around there, and then you've got those statues that caused quite a lot of controversy with from the war.
The old Soviet statue, yeah.
Soviet statues, and there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, about whether or not they should be dismantled, removed, or whatever. But actually, I'm of opinion that they should remain there, almost as because when you were looking at them, you're thinking, and we all used to be on the same side. It was a kind of evoked different kind of emotions, I guess, in seeing them there. And I think it would be wrong to remove them, in my opinion, because for that reason alone. But I think you're right. It was great to get out there, and we were trying to get a picture of the flag, weren't we? But it's kind of wouldn't fly properly to get a decent picture. But as you say, Tintit's got a lot of attention.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and play this actually, because I think it might be worthwhile as a kind of closing as we meander towards the end, finishing our drinks and whatnot. That might be worth just kind of drawing us to something of a close. I'm going to JR's just
JR's dying.
I'm going to mute JR. Just you're okay, buddy.
The whiskey went down the wrong hole.
Yeah, so cold. So I am going to present. I'm going to stop screen. I'm going to have to do this a bit differently, and that's the one. So I can share the audio. I'm going to share this with the peeps. I think this would be hopefully fairly apt. Hopefully you can hear that. As we're coming to the end of our stay in Kyiv and indeed in Ukraine, which is really sad. We've had a wonderful time. Some great people brought together by the common thread of humanity, fighting for democracy, freedom, and truth. We are here at this iconic view where you can see an old Soviet, I think, memorial to glory or something similar to that. It's an old Soviet war memorial where I believe they were thinking about whether to keep it or not. We've got the Ukrainian flag, one of the many golden-topped religious buildings in Kyiv. I think that's a beacon that's possibly unfinished there. The Ukrainian flag, the Ukrainian map, if you like, over there. Lots to see here, and including in the underpass there. But I'm going to waddle past, and hopefully you'll get a sense of the vista, and some of the team here who are a part of this will walk on by. Max and Pierre there, looking majestic. The river there.
That reminds me, that was the come back alive, was it, or something?
Yeah.
Some of the bridges and this quite incredible white building. I think that's the Come Back Alive kind of NATO style handover going on down there, which is interesting because we've just been to the NATO handover somewhere else. They have a beautiful white building, a white church there. And then if you keep on panning around, this is what we really came to see, which is one of my favorite of Ukrainian icons, the statue of the motherland, which is I was speaking to Benny
and JR about how it reminds me somewhat of Jason and the Argonauts and the Colossus statue, and they looked at me blankly because they'd never seen Jason and the Argonauts. Come on, where have you been all your lives? Anyway, what an
I've seen the movie since.
Incredible monument that is. And the Star and Sickle was taken off earlier in the war from the shield and replaced with the Ukrainian trident, and rightly so. It's an absolute, well, it's an imposing, and yet, I don't know, imposing gives a sense of kind of doom and negativity overlooking somewhere, where this is the statue of the motherland. This is almost exploding with passion and a positive sense of nationalism, which, you know, I think is what Ukraine really stands for, standing for its identity, fighting for its identity against the genocidal maniac that wants to stamp it all out. And there she is, standing tall and proud and exploding with pride, I think. Anyway, there you go. There's the site to behold.
I think maybe you ought to send that to Trump to show him that not all the golden domes in Ukraine have been destroyed, as he claims frequently.
Do you know what? As soon as I saw those golden domes, right, that's the first thing I thought. That's the first thing I thought. Is Yvonne gone then? So
he's gone back to his apartment to reconnect,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I think that is such an impressive site. I really enjoyed being there, and I think that was a worthy visit. But so we you know, so much more to share. We got so many pictures and videos to be able to share with anyone who cares. But there's only so much time in a day.
I think the only other thing to mention was it was such an honour to be able to attend that NAFO handover. I know you were doing the presenting, but the rest of us were all just hangers on. But it was, you know, just lovely to be able to meet people who, you know, who've driven over and put the effort in, and meet the people who organise it and put in so much effort. And I think when we're there was 30 vehicles being handed over. And I think about 20 of them, Jake Bro, I think, from memory. I mean, his fundraising is just phenomenal. You know, the amount of money he raises is just amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's really interesting that you felt, because I didn't know whether you'd be like, oh my goodness, okay, we've been here long enough, or like, you know, hanging around, and like I was presenting and stuff, and you know, it's a different experience for me than for you guys. So it's really pleasing that actually you got something out of that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and again, meeting people like Greg Turry, etc. And Yenka, etc. It was just great to meet people. Genya, sorry, it's great to meet these people that you see on the screen, you watch and listen to all the time, and to meet them in person was just, it was great.
It's always funny. Like, I think you guys are like, God, Greg is so much smaller than I thought he was.
Yes. I mean, you're small, but he's really small. But it was good. So it was a really good experience, and thank you so much for inviting me along and letting me partake.
Yeah, no, thank you. Here's Ivan, sorry. What happened to Dan, by the way? We lost Dan.
He had to. He's getting a meeting. He had a meeting with the guys who he's driving out to Ukraine with tomorrow, next week, whatever it was. So he had to bow out.
Fair cop. Well, good on him. I mean, for me, it was an absolute privilege to be accompanied by, or to accompany you guys in driving out to Ukraine, and I think it just shows a great camaraderie, a great common cause that we all feel, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And also, as I said earlier, thank you for assisting me physically in getting around, because I was not in a good way out there. sod's law that it hit us, you know, just like one of the most memorable times of our lives of like, you know, doing, well, I don't want to speak for you, but like doing this thing that we feel so strongly about, and then like illness just slams us. But JR seemed to get away with it, but Mark, you had it.
I got it, and I had it for weeks after as well. But I think what something that really struck me was we're very, very different people, and we've all got very, very different political beliefs, and we all come from things completely, some from far left, not far left, but left and right, and some in the middle, and what was great is that actually the common cause, Ukraine, doing what the little we can to feel that we're helping out in Ukraine, brought us all together. And and even when we were debating with our political views, it never really got to the point where it is fractious. It was it was always actually really good banter, and it's just how it's great that a common cause can bring together very different people.
Agreed. Well said. Really well said. And thank you, Van, really for facilitating this by not only doing what you do for Car for Ukraine and obviously giving us an outlet to show our support for Ukraine, but actually to really help us get out there to get those vehicles. And I know there's a few people back in the UK that really enabled this as well, who are amazing and need a proper shout out. Is it Richard and the people who do,
and Claire as well,
and obviously Claire, who's in the live chat hopefully still, and the people that buy vehicles in the UK, and I'm sure that elsewhere around Europe. But I think it was really, really, really great that you could help us do this, Ivan.
Well, I'm glad there was a chance. Oh yeah! Oh, you have the T-shirt. I just realized you got the Car for Ukraine T-shirt. I have as well.
Oh, nice. Oh, you have a green one.
It's a
nice,
older.
Well, we'll have to.
Can I thank Ivan as well for lending us the vehicles as well for a few extra days in Lviv.
It was Sergey.
Really,
that's
really
the guy
helpful.
who needs a shout out. He managed the trucks like super fast in the last moment. Richard as well, and Sergey and and Claire from Australia managing everything, and
also
people who donated so we could buy those trucks.
But also Roman who got us across the border and back in again. When he comes,
Jesus Christ, those tobacco. I mean, come on, that story is for
we talked about
hours long chat alone.
We talked about that earlier, Van, right at the beginning.
Yeah. I think we spent more time getting through that one checkpoint than I have ever spent getting through all the checkpoints in all the times I crossed the border, and I crossed quite a lot in just that one day. It was the longest ever.
I've got a few things related to these campaigns. You probably already seen the pins, and I sent them out actually to the people who have been donating to this campaign. I actually just sent out on Monday. There you go. On Monday, just send out like 250 parcels. Like I went to bed at 5 a.m. and one of the guys who received them, he came from your channel, David Lewis. He's contributed a lot. I don't know if he's watching here. I mean, you're a legend, and he asked for quite rare patches, which we didn't offer. But I just saw that he's supported that much, and I just I started calling and looking for the patches he asked about. One of the things I didn't have is he asked for ATP original patch, and I'm like, sorry, mate, I don't have that, but I got something else. I got some quite unique bottle patches, and this one that you probably didn't receive yet, we'll send you later. Yeah, I think that's the one he was talking about. This,
I have a spare one if he wants one.
I've got. Is that David L?
Yeah. That's David.
Yeah. I can send him one. I've asked him to reach out to me and give me his address. But yeah, I can sort that out. And there's our new one for NATO. But I know it's not Car for Ukraine. But you've got your Car for Ukraine ones as well.
Yeah. That's the one I wanted actually to show and say a bit more. We have this is the Car for Ukraine, where we have like a trident and Car for Ukraine wording in it, it's like our sort of signature patch. And if anyone wants that, when you are, there you go. And I was going to talk about this one as well. And if anyone wants that instead of the whatever the campaign is, tell me. I'll be happy to spare 1 or 2 or 10, whatever. And this one, it's actually there you go. This one is I would say more internal. We don't promote it much because that's I would say quite specific wording. But the key thing here is the picture, because that's actually made out of real photo of one of our pickup trucks with the machine gun that we've been putting at the beginning of the war. That one was something like M2 Browning or Deshka that is turning 360, and the soldiers sent us literally a photo like that. And we look at it and we're like, wow, that's freaking cool. Let's make a patch out of that photo. And since then, these are like our two patches of our Car for Ukraine.
Well, Ivan, if I could get hold of one of those patches to add to my, I don't know what, I need to put that up somewhere, but I've got, let me know. Also, right, I was thinking about contacting that olive green Car for Ukraine t-shirt. I will contribute to my campaign. If you could send me a green t-shirt, a patch, like I'll and also I've got a favor to ask you. How often do you go to the Partisan restaurant?
Not super often, but I it's not too far from me. Yeah.
So when I was in there, they were selling a bunch of stuff, and I really wanted to buy a mug, but by the time I wanted to buy that mug, they were like, stop selling stuff, and they were closing up or whatever. And they had this kind of like, it's a bit shaped like that, like tea mug. And what's JR got there?
I have an automated webcam, but it changes positions.
All right, and they've got this green mug that had a red interior, and I really want that I want to drink my tea out of that on my videos and like talk about Ukraine, and basically if you could buy that mug for me and send it, so like a t-shirt.
JP, we're just gonna have to go back out.
Well, this is it, Mark. Stop. Yeah, right. Okay, we're just gonna have to get back out to freaking Lviv.
Sign me up.
Is it easier if I drive a truck to Lviv and get this myself, Ivan?
Drive with you.
No, you
just say yes. Please say yes.
You can certainly send me that list after we're done with the trip. We definitely have the black ones, the black t-shirts.
Yeah, I've got the black one.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe when we order them from time to time. And we just got the batch of black ones. Yeah, but maybe I'll check with them. Just send me the list of your send me the wish list, and I'll figure something out. And by the way, here's the photo I found. That was
of the original. Oh, that's amazing. That is some truck as well. That looks wicked.
Yeah.
Ivan,
Ivan, JP actually wants a shirt off your back.
Yeah. Give me the shirt and
send it to him.
It doesn't fit it, but
I am never fitting in Ivan's shirt. I mean, the man is thin, and I am not.
I was just translating for you, in case you didn't get it.
Well, look, Ivan, like honestly, mate, it just is absolutely incredible what you do, mate. So thank you for that. I guess as we I was going to say meander through the fields of Ukraine to the end here, but I'm going to actually say as I wander badly functioning MS legs through the streets of Ukraine to the end of this video. It is there's so much we can still talk about. Goodness me, it's all happening in the world. Mike Walls has been sacked as the national security advisor to Trump. He's been replaced by Marco Rubio, who's the Secretary of State. What's going on there? How does that work out? It's just absolutely insane. Then there's a claim that Laura Loomer was actually behind getting him sacked. She's that far right extremist nut job who appears to be having far too much influence in the White House. And I was saying to JR before we came live, like sometimes I feel like I could be a 24-hour news channel, because just stuff is happening all the time. It's a crazy world we live in. I was listening to a brief analysis of what's going on in bloody India and Pakistan, and just thinking, holy crap, it's just never ending. Just this crazy world we live in. Like, take me back to the 1990s. I'm sure it was easier then, and great music as well. Like, anyway, so I'm showing my youthful age there. Is there anything else anyone wants to mention at all while you still can? Pierre, anything you have to add? Want to add?
Can you hear me? I'm having kind of
loud and clear, my friend.
Loud and clear. One more drink. Not really. It's great to see you all again. Hang out and have a beer and stuff. And I got to say, I just got back from Ukraine a couple of days ago, and I don't know, everyone seems quite fired up again about.
I wanted to ask Ivan this, and actually, Pierre, that's a really good segue. Yeah, tell us your thoughts, Pierre, on what you felt about how people are feeling, because that's what I meant to ask Ivan.
Yeah, because I spent a couple of days in Kyiv and obviously Lviv and Kramatorsk. Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone's a bit down after the whole Kursk incident, the ending, I suppose. And then I think it's these recent strikes in Sumy and Kiri Rig and stuff. I don't know. Everyone seemed pretty fired up again. That was my impression. And
is that through anger or through hope?
I think from anger, really. Mainly. What else?
There's no way back. Yeah. I think there's just no way back. There's no way to excuse and say, okay, let's finish it. We just cannot afford it.
I really felt this, like, Ukraine has no fucking choice in this. They just have to go through. They have to go for it.
Yeah.
See it through. And
I think,
I got to be honest. Like a couple of months ago, I was thinking, especially when these, when they went to Jeddah and stuff in Saudi Arabia, and they were talking about a 30-day ceasefire, and I kind of fantasized about that a bit. Like, I was thinking this could actually happen, like naively, and I was thinking, wow, what would that mean for the Ukrainian people and stuff? And I speak to people, and they're like, there's no way it's going to happen. Like it's just, anyway.
What I thought was really good was that Zelensky turned around to Putin on this, when he said we have 3 days. He turned around and said, basically, F off. You should be. Why do we have to wait for your parade, and why only 3 days? So you can, have a parade. If you want peace, you want peace. And I think that will have sent a massive message to the USA. I hope it sent a massive message to the USA that Putin's just pissing around. He really is. He's just not taking this seriously at all. He doesn't want peace.
Yeah.
He needs to continue to fight to stay in power.
Yeah.
So what is the general feeling on the street, Ivan, with regard to peace negotiations? And are people thinking there's realistically going to be a ceasefire forthcoming? Or do they think Putin's just never going to agree to what the US want? And then what are the thoughts about the US? Give us some insight.
I've read once about this psychology of an infantry, like a person that is at war. And the thing was that how it was the study about how fast soldiers burn out and like cannot fight anymore. And the summary was that it happens within 90 to 180 days, basically 3 to 6 months.
Depending
This is
on what
when
they're on.
this is like that's when soldiers burn out and cannot go back to fight. That's it. They're done. We've been in this war for more than 3 years. And the soldiers there have been fighting, some of them have been fighting since 2014. This is their life. There's no way they will be like, okay, yeah, let's end it now. And if they are ready to fight there, I mean, we totally have no freaking, no say to say different than what they say. When I talk to them, like, there's some negotiations, there's some things, and they're like, what are you feeling there? They're like, we feel no change at all. We just keep fighting. We don't see, when they said there was a ceasefire for Easter, maybe somewhere, but the guys were like, we just keep fighting as it was. And people here, I mean, Lviv is pretty far. I don't know if it's a good, good sample to say what I hear in Lviv. Lviv is more, it's a place where people from all over Ukraine can come and have a little bit of normal days in their lives, because Lviv is far. Lviv is very safe and is a good place to be in, to sort of have your brain a little bit out from the war. And a lot of soldiers come here to just have a walk around the city, to have a bit of normalities and get back. Everyone is tired.
You've got to have a break. You've got to go back to have some normality, or else, as you say, you just absolutely burn out completely and utterly. And
absolutely. Another thing I can add is I was on the reason I wasn't on Friday when we were sending the cars. I wasn't there, so we just made our team just made some photos and videos. But I was in Kyiv in one of the events organized by Brave One. This is like a technology sort of ecosystem that is.
I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow.
Yeah, so we are part of the Brave One program, not Car for Ukraine, but another company that we run with a few other people. This is about the technology, the drones technology, the autopiloting, the self-guiding, the neural network where you recognize targets, etc. So I'm very much involved in that, and I was on that Brave One event, and there you come and you see so many companies, so many students, adults, big businesses who are very focused on, okay, so how do we develop, dual use product? How do we make good radios, walkie-talkies good? How do we make reliable drones? How we make them efficient? Nobody's talking, let's maybe think about civilian application because the war will be over. Not at all. No, like zero. Nobody's saying anything close to that. Very much focus on, we need to get Ukraine strong. We need to make Ukraine strong. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a marketplace. Yeah, I had a chance to play around with it and test it also. Yeah, it's a marketplace by Brave One. Yeah, so it's innovation. War is a driver of the progress. As horrible as it sounds, it's driving so much progress. There's so many bright minds, and we just need more people to come in and be part of it. More countries to be part of it, to invest, to maybe buy products from Ukrainian manufacturers, by their governments and supply to Ukraine. Maybe develop things in the UK, in the Netherlands, and with help of Ukrainian people who know how to build it. Like build it in the Netherlands, but build it for the purposes of our army. Give it under certain conditions to our army to use, And then when the war is over, you end up with battle-proven technologies. And this is actually what we do in the company that we created. Is we help to build smart technologies, AI-powered drones, and we can test them with the soldiers on the battlefield.
But how do you feel? Sorry.
So it's not only for battle, but also dual purpose for just civilian stuff. Like geospatial export.
If you go
all the
to,
opportunities you can have.
If you go to the any ISR drone manufacturer, like sort of reconnaissance drone manufacturer, you'll see that they all on the website they put, if it's a fire, if it's something else, but in reality, it's
yeah, I know, but it's also the use cases too in Europe, in the parts that don't have the war. It's useful to sell it as something else as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, how do people feel that this war is going? Like, how do they feel it's going to end? Are people in a good place now? Are they obviously they're exhausted, but what's going on politically and with regard to the negotiations? Like, how do you feel? How do you think the nation is feeling at the moment? If you've got a handle on that.
It's just been like we just had so much atrocities from Russia. There's no one. I mean, there's someone, but there's no major thoughts that we need to finish it as it is and whatever. Just let's just finish it all. There's nothing like that. We are not in the worst conditions right now as a country. Far not the worst. We've been in really piece of shit. We've had blackouts. Now I'm sitting with light, internet, and can talk about technology. I mean, that says something, right? And 2 years ago, I could be taking shower using a bottle of water, and that was my normal day. And now I can take shower, without a bottle of water. So maybe that's a good metaphor, which is not actually a metaphor.
Yeah.
No, but if you look back at what happened in World War II with the bombing, the Blitz, effectively, it actually instilled more desire to keep fighting, to carry on for exactly that reason, and I think that's exactly how you guys are feeling, in that you're war weary. You are, you're getting, you're seeing your civilians being bombed by the murderous Russians, but it drives you, exactly, keep calm, carry on. It drives you to want to get the best, and you're not going to capitulate. You have got so much to lose, and having gone this far, you're never going to capitulate, and you'll never. And that's what, this is what gets me about bloody Trump, is that he has no real grasp of reality. If he was to put he'll never forget, in Canada, came over the border and took, Vermont, for example, would he just go, well, actually, they can have it. They've lost a load of people. They lots of people have died taking this. They deserve to keep it. Fuck me, excuse me. But it really is absolutely unbelievable. And he'll never, unless he understands that, he's never going to come up with an idea that you guys are ever going to agree to.
I think that nails it, Mark. Is that, like, I know I say this an awful lot, and it might seem very dismissive, but truly, Donald Trump is ignorant of and I mean that not so much pejoratively.
He's just ignorant. There's not anything. He's just ignorant.
but in a very technical sense of Ukraine, of its history, of its geography, of the war. Like, he doesn't really know how it started. He's just fed. Like, if you don't read, and I know I've said this a million times, but if you don't ever read, like, you're not going to get some great foundational knowledge upon which to base your geopolitical understanding, right? So if you don't read, you are just listening to what people tell you. And if the people that are telling you stuff are Tucker Carlson, your son, and Stephen Miller and all these kind of wingnuts, then you're just going to have such a warped sense of reality. And if you're then going on national television and being asked about Ukraine, you're going to talk in vague. This is why he never talks in granular detail, never ever. Like, this is so important for people to understand. But there's not one instance in the history of Donald Trump where he has talked in granular detail about anything. It's all about, oh, I hate people dying. I'm doing people dying, and you know, both sides. It's terrible. No, tell me, oh, like these golden topped like buildings, they've all been destroyed. It's all rubble. No. Give me actual detail that you know the history of Ukraine, that you know the people you're talking about, that you know the oblast you're talking about. Stephen Witkoff doesn't even know the oblast. None of you have got any freaking working knowledge of the country whose future you are deciding, whose future you are handing over to Russia. And it pisses me off, but it also explains everything. He's just fundamentally ignorant, and that means that he cannot be in a good position to make garbage in, garbage out. You can't make good decisions about Ukraine if you don't know jack shit about Ukraine. End of rant. It's taken a long time. I haven't ranted for a few days.
I'm glad I provoked that rant. It took a while.
I've been too bloody relaxed lately. I need to just have a rocket up my ass. Guys, you're going to have to talk for a little bit. This is one of my long goodbyes, right? So I said we're wrapping up about half an hour ago, and I've just simply failed to wrap up. You know that's how I roll. Yes, just half time.
Would I text you last night? 30 minutes. No, we're going to wrap up. 30 minutes. And rinse and repeat.
Yeah, I'll still have an hour.
But I'm literally going to wet myself. So just keep talking and give me a.
So, I'm about also to
So just are you able to take any more requests for cars at the moment or not? I've still got combat.
We still have this ongoing thing that we are raising funds for, but. If you have the details, who is this, and if we can somehow organize the fundraiser for it, we have capacity to help getting them, buying and preparing them.
But from memory, it's Combat Med from, I think he was 4Div medical team. He's after basically car for evac purposes. It was the guy that I met, and I think I texted you about when we were out there. He keeps coming back at me, so I think he's quite desperate for one. It would be really good to try and get him on your list, even if it's months down the line. If you can get him on your list, it would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we have like that. The thing is not like the list can be really long, but if together with the request comes an organic way, how we can, what can we create with a partnership, maybe with Jonathan or with someone else, so then we can organically cover it. And maybe it's another fund that an organization that is doing fundraisers in a different way, and they have some budget that they could help with it. Then it's good, because now everything we raise is for the campaign we already committed. So it's very like fixed. We raising for the Seraphims, we help Seraphims.
You'll be happy to know I did make it to the toilet, but it was a close call. Just too much information. Can I just take an opportunity to thank people on behalf of the channel for supporting the channel personally. Michael Vuchar is an amazing supporter of the channel. He said he might be buying a house in Ukraine. Michael, is that true?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, interesting. Gifting 5 ATP Geopolitics memberships. Kevin Forst, again, just one of the absolute just legends of supporting the channel, Kevin. Niels Clement as well, thank you so much for your incredible kindness. Johnny Negregard, some super Norwegian love there. Thank you. Stephen Bendal from Norway as well, who I have interviewed a number of times. It was not irresponsible for you to go to Ukraine, Jonathan. This is reference to an earlier conversation. It would have been irresponsible not to go. I like your thinking, Stephen. That's where I'm coming from. Thank you, my good man. He's an absolute legend. In fact, so Stephen's married to a Ukrainian. They've got an apartment in Kyiv. I think west of Kyiv. That was actually, he contacted me the other day. So that as Kyiv is experiencing greater, and I'll speak about this to Ivan in a second. But there are more and more drones getting through at the moment, and he was contacted by neighbors of his in Ukraine that said basically his apartment was very nearly hit, but it wasn't, as far as I know. But you know, these things are pretty scary for them. Obviously, even scarier for people who are actually there as well. Javier Alvarez, thank you. Salute Prost, cheers, and drinks and a cheers for Ukraine as well, obviously. So thank you. And thank you to Tahir as well, from Norway. Some serious Norwegian love. The Norwegians are amazing, just in general. So thank you guys, really appreciate that. I don't know if you've got any insight as to what's going on, Ivan, but I've been noticing, as many people have, that the interception rates of drones has really dropped in the last month. Something's happened. There's talk about a change of tactics for the Russians, where they're amassing drones in a single place and then attacking a city. So they'll circle in the Black Sea near to Odessa, rather than sending them one after another so they can get shot down one after another. They mass them and then send them all at the same time against Odessa. There's or other places. There's talk about having better chips on board for the Shahed type drones, where they're more electronic warfare resistant. There's rumors that the Ukrainians might not have as many interceptor missiles to fire, and not as many systems as well, that actually there could be an attrition of the Patriot, NASAMS, and other systems that the Russians over time will have been targeting. You rest assured that the Russians will be targeting those air defense systems every freaking night. You put all of those together and you're starting to see, so there was like a 30% plus lack of interception 2 nights ago, right? That we were seeing 5% to 0% of Shaheds getting through, and now we're having nights where 30% of them are getting through. What's your explanation for why that might be happening?
Yeah, it's always like a cat and mouse. It's like a sword and what is the other thing? Shield. That thing, right? We are inventing something, and Russians are looking for a counter. They maybe changed something. Well, now we need to figure out what they've changed and how to fix it. It's. I don't think it's a constant. It's a variable. Maybe it went successfully. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't dive into that much. I didn't hear much about that on the news. So maybe it's a thing that you caught, or maybe there was an article about that. But it's a nuance. It's a detail. On a bigger scale, it's always, something is invented, then you need to find a new way how to hit it. For example, Russians had a lot of this. They still have a lot of those IRS drones, Supercam, Zala, and many others. We found a way how to hit them. Then they started painting them in the ground color, because when we were talking to some of the analysts in the commanding centers, how they look for the targets, and they said, okay, we use like stage 1, we use some sort of like radars. When they find where it is, then they send an FPV drone close to it, and then on that radar they see where an FPV interceptor and the reconnaissance drone is, and then they match it on the radar, and then they start looking for that with their eyes. And that's why when they painted it, it was hard to find. But our smart guys found a way how to still find them and hunt them. So then what Russians found out is that they started installing a camera on the back of an IRS drone, just to look for the potential interceptor. So whenever interceptor reaches that IRS drone, it dives down. So you need now to catch it. So it's always back and forth. The Shahed drones and intercepting them is a challenge. And I know at least 3 groups who have some progress intercepting them using drones. and with one of them we might even work together on a different thing, but they doing their job intercepting them. So I'm sure within like 6 months there will be Shahed drone on the market, and there will be anti-Shahed drone on the market with equivalent price. So it's not going to be about Patriot or Iris-T. It will be, 50K, 20K.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
is
absolutely.
how it
Yeah,
will go.
I know the answer to Shaheds particularly will be low cost, effective interceptors and stuff like that for sure. But I was just wondering, just in general, like there's definitely been a bit of a step change in the last month. You saw it, and it actually was quite quick as well. It went from like 5%, 0 to 5% getting through to then suddenly like 20% plus, and now it's routinely most days are like around the 20% mark, and it is worrying for me because of course that's cumulative. If every night that's happening and you've got 150 odd drones, then that becomes a bit of a problem. And in fact, this is a question, Stefan, this is a question I've asked myself this, and I haven't talked about this on my videos, but I do wonder that how many of those that do get through that aren't taken out, how many actually have explosives on board, because we know there's quite a few Shaheds that are used in different ways. Some are decoys, some are actually carrying cameras and mapping and so on and so forth. So not all of them will have explosives on board. So that's a good question. Someone just, I don't know who it is, Rolio. Anyway, has been talking about the little whiskey shop. Guys, get yourselves to the little whiskey shop. It helped Mark out. He would appreciate it. A question for you, Ivan, from Rudy Hermans. Ivan, do you have car stickers from for Ukraine to sell on your web shop?
As I said on a stream with the Ukrainian, we have many things to offer to you. So you just support the campaign. Send us your offer.
Just a thought. Just a thought. If you can send a whole load over, we can sell them on our site for charity, obviously to raise money. Very happy to do that if that will help out at all.
The way how you can, like, you're a business person, right? So you know A/B testing, right? So you can have digital version of whatever, call it a sticker, say it's for sale, and if people start saying we want it, I'll send you everything you ask me for, Mark. I'll be happy to do that. And if we can sell them and help that unit, that you mentioned that need ambulance, or like the truck to evacuate, and we achieve it through,
cool.
offering 100 stickers, I'm totally happy to do that. That's
we're selling Ukrainian whiskey. We're going to be selling Ukrainian vodka. We're going to be selling Ukrainian wine, and it's all for charity. So all the money I make on it goes into back to Ukraine. So anything else I can do. So maybe I'll check with you offline or whatever. Yeah. Get some pictures that I can put on the site, and we can put caveats about it could take a month to come or whatever. But anything that we can do to raise money, it's getting harder and harder. It really is. I've got some lovely books that have been written by actually someone who makes it, the mother of the person who makes the vodka. But it's that again is all for charity, all Ukrainian charity. But it's just people are tight with their money anyway at the moment, and trying to get people to donate to Ukraine is harder and harder. If there's anything we can do to help do that, then
that's the book he's talking about. Yeah, that's the book. Around the War, it's called. Loads of really interesting little stories about people's experiences of the war.
Yeah, so it's not a war story. It's not a war story. It is literally about it's a civilian's view on the war. Where they've lost their loved ones, where they've lost their friend, or they've been stuck in a building where the Russians have been surrounding them and they're frightened to come out. It's just, I mean, I don't read, as in I don't read books. I read all the time at work and everything else. I don't read books, but I read that book in one night. It absolutely got me totally got me, because it is stories from, you know, it's not war stories, it's stories about people suffering, civilians suffering in war, and it's stuff like that. So yeah, if I can, I'll chat offline to you, and try and get some pictures or images that we can hopefully maybe get some funds raised through.
Yeah, sounds good. Just a few more bits of support for the channel. So thank you, Papa Dutch. Ivan, what we need is a drone payload that can be attached to an intruding drone and be tracked to the source. I guess, is that what you'd have, some kind of tracking device that you attach to an ISR drone? And then you can either track where it's coming from, or it goes back to, you can just drop a little tracking device on the drone, then you can track where the people are, and then you can take out the operators. But I don't, interesting. And a little something toward JP's wine fund. Thank you, Beer Me. My wine fund is never ending. And it is yes. It's beer tonight though. It's a rarity for me these days. Make them the smart tags or air tags, says Papa Dutch. So some ideas there for but it's interesting you're involved in ideas for how to Jonathan Fink. Interesting that Ivan, you're involved in the
welcome
development of IT. Sorry, that my question has now been completely
the live stream has extended for 1 hour.
And it's now time to say good night and thank you and farewell.
Yeah. This is turning into a Rick the Ukrainian 6-hour live stream. Bloody hell.
We should do a fundraiser during this.
Until we finish.
I was just going to break that, Mark, as well.
Oh, Talisker.
Very nice.
Game of Thrones Talisker.
Game of Thrones Talisker, yeah.
It's not the best. It's a bit of a gimmick.
No, it's not. It was all hype. It was all marketing.
Can I just
not
say
nearly
thank
as
you?
good as the normal.
Some people have fundraised, contributed to the ATP Geopolitics. That's definitely gone up during this live stream. So thank you for that. All the lovely things you can get. Kathy Sommer, that is today, and that'll be someone, an unknown person, Slava Ukraine. Ricky Lucas, glory to the heroes, best wishes. So thank you to those three who have donated, particularly these Ricky Lucas and all three of you, total legends. So thank you. That's really cool. Please check out the Car for Ukraine link. You can go to atpgeo.com/donate below, and you'll be directed to that page. So please help out. And tomorrow, yes, Kevin, we still expect the Hits and Losses video at the usual time, please. Yeah, I'll be up. I'll be doing it. Jonathan Fink has joined us, and I've won. I'm excited. I don't know about you guys, Mark. I was quite surprised, and Pierre and JR, that Jonathan Fink he sells himself as this erudite, very sophisticated, like academic type person.
No claims. Never have I made any such claim.
No, but it's the air that you exude, right? The
air of pomposity. You mean?
Yeah,
you saved me from Russian prison, of a Ukrainian prison. Sorry.
Yeah. You say, oh my God, we haven't even talked about it. Oh, gee whiz! Right now, Finker's in, and Mr. Finker's in the room. We're gonna probably have to mention that. That is one of the highlights of my time in Ukraine. Was actually leaving it and Fink getting arrested, pretty much.
Oh yeah,
but that one. But I just want to say,
sacrificial lamb off the train you go.
Took one for the team. Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second, but I just want to say that Jonathan Fink exudes this air of sophistication and highfalutin ness, and yet the stories that man has of his youth and like early employment years, that man he's not
serviced a lot of women. Was that not?
Yeah. There was just
not that kind of story.
No. There were some great Jonathan Fink stories when we had a few beers, and it's like, yeah, and this is what I did then. That's holy crapola, fun and games. Yeah. It was fantastic getting to know you guys. So, talking about Jonathan Fink, he was marched off the train on the way out, and I know that I've explained this to you guys in the audience before when we talked about our experiences out there, but let's just go through it again. And I don't know if Ivan knows this. Were you aware of what happened to Jonathan Fink? So basically, we went to Jiggers Poor in Lviv, which is a charity that you'll be aware of, I'm sure. And they had loads of stuff in their garage that units had given them. Some NATO casings. Like if you look there is. Oh yeah. JL's got one. A cartridge container and lots of war paraphernalia, right? A lot of NATO stuff, then some kind of shells and bullet case or like bigger cartridge casings and all sorts of different stuff. And they said, look, you can have these, you can auction them off or do whatever you want with them. And then so we're like, oh, that's really cool. So I took one, put it in my bag. JR took one, and then some casings, and I think Jonathan Fink took an empty.
I had two of them, yeah.
Yeah, two of them, right. So we all put them in our bags, right? And then at the border, getting out of Ukraine back into Poland, they come round and they look through your bags. They looked at my stuff in our cabin, and I was with Mark and Pierre. And they looked through our stuff, and it's like, yeah, nothing to see here. That was all fine. I'm like, phew, because I was a little bit worried about that. The time before, I had that knife there that one of the units this guy gave me, and Bakula, and I was worried about that. And they actually found that, and he didn't do anything. And I was like, thank goodness for that, because they confiscated that as a really meaningful donation from this guy to me. But anyway. So we got away with it, and then they went to the next cabin and looked through Jonathan Fink's bag and JR's stuff, and they found a bunch of those boxes, right, that JR's just shown, and the casings, these big like cartridge casings, and they're like, you can't have this. This is totally unacceptable. Blah blah blah. And it was partly JR's fault, and not his fault, as in some of it was.
Totally.
I wanted to step off the train, but Jonathan saved me from going off the train.
Yeah, I mean they weren't particularly happy at the ammo casing, but those were empty. I think they really didn't like your high caliber.
Yeah, I was already wanted to go back to my room to pack all the bags and go with you.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But I mean, I was the only one who spoke Russian and could vaguely communicate with them. So,
then they made Jonathan Fink pack his bags up and put his coat on, and literally, right, you've got to come off the train now. So the train has stopped at the
suitcase,
border.
bags, the whole lot. Yeah, get it all. Get all your stuff.
He gets marched away. The train sits there for half an hour. And then we're like, is he going to come back? What's going on? And there's no reception here. So none of us can contact
no
him.
Wi-Fi,
No reception
no
at
phone
all.
reception.
So he then gets marched off. The train stops there for half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then the train starts moving slowly off. And we're like, holy shit, we've lost Mr. Fink. Jonathan is done for. They've taken him off. They're interrogating him. They're sticking probes up his ass. They're doing all sorts. Well, I don't know what they're doing.
That didn't happen, but just want to put that out there immediately. Quash that rumor. No favors were performed to get out of it.
So we then went to Poland. We're over the other side of the border in Poland. We're at this train station, and then we have to get another train to Krakow. And then we're like, well, do we wait here for Jonathan? Like, we can't contact him. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no signal. We don't know what's happened to him. So in the end, we're like, oh, just screw him. Let's go to Krakow. So we jumped on a train to Krakow. And then we're in Krakow going, we're still like, what's going on with him?
Those beers won't drink themselves, will they? Yeah.
Those beers won't drink themselves. So we
were toasting you. Yeah, we were thinking
sure
about
hadn't totally forgotten about me.
So literally, Ivan, he was in a room being interrogated by Ukrainian police and border guards. Like, talk us through it, Jonathan. What happened?
Oh, it was hilarious, obviously, but as soon as I got off the train, the lovely lady in the border guard uniform just said, "You're not getting back on that train. Say bye bye to the train. Your friends, they not see you again." Okay, this is nice. So then I got taken off. There was another woman there, and she was genuinely sort of blubbing because she'd had some heavy medication in her bag. I think it was laudanum or something. She had something really quite strong there because she said she couldn't sleep. And anyway, they didn't like that, so they pulled her off the train, and she'd missed. Her family were waiting, and anyway, I mean, they immediately told us that we'd get on the next one. Well, they didn't say get on the next one. They said, you're not getting back on this one. The implication being you get on the next one. So then there was a lovely policeman or a lovely border guard who interrogated me, and me telling him that I was a YouTube superstar didn't cut any ice there. He didn't really want to know. So I interrogated by that one, and then I was made to wait for another half hour, and then a senior police officer came from the town, and he was quite funny. He came in with us, Budanov. That sort of completely, you don't know what the guy's thinking, slightly scary, wax figure kind of face. Could be Madame Tussauds. Poke him. Is he alive? Is he not? Who knows? Yeah, that kind of look on his face. And he just looked at me with his dead eyes and he said, "What are we going to do with you? I think we put you in prison. I think that is the right thing." And then a big smile kind of came onto his face, and I knew he was just, playing
with you.
Yeah,
so like a cat with a mouse,
exactly,
just toying with you.
That's it. But it wasn't particularly comfortable there. I mean, there was no Wi-Fi, there was no phone signal, there was no loo paper in the toilet, there's no water to drink, and there was no water to wash your hands with either. All there was hard wooden benches in a very sort of Soviet-style hall. So they obviously go out of their way to make it as uncomfortable as possible. So I think I was there for about 4 hours, until the next train pulled up.
That was what JR had
That
in
was
his...
Yeah,
that's the little
That's
bastards
me.
that got me, isn't it? Yeah.
That's the little bastard. There you go, JR. Responsible for Mr. Fink being detained. So how long
I wanted to go off,
was it?
but
So
That wasn't the end of it, wasn't it, John Boy? Because I got to Poland and I had no end of trouble getting off the train.
So it just got funnier for us. I mean, we're all right. We were sitting in a bar drinking beer. So, like, for Jonathan Fink, he was like with the police for ages, bloody ages, and then eventually he gets put on the next train that comes along. Then he gets into the station in Poland where we were. Where we had gone through, and then we're talking through where he needs to be, and he's at one end of the platform, and then he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm at the station. What's going on?" It's like, you need to get this train. You need to get this train. It's like, oh no, the train's going. It's down the other end of the platform, and he misses that train, and we're just freaking finding it hilarious, obviously, and
a lot of expletives, there has to be said.
Honestly, so Jonathan as well, like, again, to go back to this, he's got this air of a proper gentleman.
Sophistication.
Sophistication. That man swears like a trooper. And
worse than me. I'm a trooper, and he swears worse than me.
He does. He honestly swears, Jonathan Fink. So
swearing is an art form. It's a sign of intelligence. It really is.
So he's stuck in this Polish station, then has to get the next train, and then when he gets to Krakow, he goes to the wrong Krakow station, isn't it? And then we're like, oh my god. Meanwhile, we're on like the fourth beer or whatever. We're like,
the worst.
Really? Like you're in the wrong you just what? So I think, did we not just pay for an Uber for you? Just
we had to sort out transport for him to get picked up.
I don't have the Uber.
I'm stuck in this wrong transport. What do I do? Oh, we'll send an Uber.
Help.
Well, it's Benny idea, right?
Yeah. Until that point, we had Benny who sorted everything out. There was Benny and there was Mark who did all the logistics, and everything. Everything was done for us. I didn't have to think. It's great,
And I think we need to give Benny a bit more props. We've not mentioned him nearly enough. Benny's
an absolute
legend.
I know
he is.
And he was organizationally excellent with, like, all the kind of hotels, and I know Mark did a lot as well, but Benny, you know, with his knowledge, he does a lot of traveling, and he just knew how to do stuff and book things. And
I think
he
he and
sorted
I
this out.
spent hours and hours on chat going back. What about this one? What about this one? No, should we put this to them? No, we won't do that. Actually, they won't. No, you know, JP can't do that. JF,
Yeah.
well, he won't do that one. That's not posh enough for him. You know, kind of, but yeah, back and forth. So yeah, you didn't see half of it.
What a strangely warped impression you all have of me. Too posh for him.
Yeah, we organised something lovely. You went, no, I'm not going. I'm going to go and stay somewhere else.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Well, no, that was in Lviv, wasn't it? And that's because I had a nice apartment I got for free. So why not?
Exactly.
As Claire says, JP went with friends. Poor JF seems to have been solo a lot and needs a keeper.
I do need a keeper.
We looked after him eventually, you know, but we mainly looked after ourselves first and then looked after Jonathan.
Yeah.
No, I mean, goodness me, like that must have been a pretty hairy experience in all honesty, Jonathan, to begin with.
If I hadn't traveled around the Soviet Union, then I would have been properly freaked out by that. But of course, I've traveled, you know, one end of Russia to the other, and you never know what those police are going to do to you. I mean, a friend of mine got horrifically drunk and got on the train and then slept through his stop. And this is someone who's quite, you know, some people are lovely, calm as babies when they're drunk. This guy now, he gets a bit leery and a bit aggressive. So this was back in Moscow in the 90s, and he slept through his stop, and he ended up about sort of 50 kilometers further than when he meant to get off, in the middle of the countryside. But he was completely shit-faced, and the police woke him up in the train, and he was like, I just want to go home, and he was just shouting at them. So they took him off to what's called a Vytryzvitel, and they took him off to a sobering up unit, where they shaved his head, beat the shit out of him, stole his passport and money, and then dumped him on the street in the morning. So the thought in my head was, well, it can't be that bad, at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you could always shave some of Jerome's off and use his hair for you.
Yeah, yes. I don't have much hair now. Yeah, back in the day, there was something to shave off.
So, do the Ukrainian police have a bad reputation in general, or are they seen as pretty different from those Russian counterparts?
Yeah, I think it's been changing in the past 20 years very rapidly. Like when you could be stopped for no reason, just to make up some story that you broke some law, so then you just bribe them. I don't see anything like this happening on such a low level. I think there is corruption on a high level in any country, basically. But the low level, like when you can bribe anyone anywhere, that's really a bad thing. And I see that it's moving away. I'm sure something is still available, but I do see our police as people who I can address to for help. Maybe it's because my first real encounter with police was in the US, where you have such attitude to police that you can just ask them for help for anything. And I had 9 warnings and 0 fines in the car. So I just turned on my a very strong Ukrainian accent, and I sorry sir, I didn't know in Ukraine we don't have traffic lights, so I just go.
Yeah.
I didn't know that means stop. I'm sorry sir, I didn't know. And they're like, okay sir,
Brilliant.
okay, you're fine, you can go now, but don't do it anymore. And maybe not as crazy, but just recently I entered a zone that is not okay to enter on certain time of the week, and I didn't know about that. I just see it's available, so I just drove through, and then they come to me, and I saw immediately he has his tablet. He was about to make a fine, and I'm like, come on! I just dropped off some people from Britain. They brought trucks, and I first time in this place, and I'm just trying to get out from here. Here's the patch, that they gave me, or whatever. I just made up the story, and here's the photo of the truck they brought. He's like, okay, fine, yeah, just get out from this place as fast as possible. Get out of here, and that's it. like it doesn't make sense to bribe them on such a low thing, because the fine would be very small. It's just the time I didn't want to spend on dealing with it. But any sort of, if you speed a little bit, the fine is so insignificant, and you can pay it online, and you can pay it with 50% off when you pay it fast. So we are incentivized to do things in a sort of in a legal way. It's easy, it's cheaper, and it's the right way to go. So we're totally moving towards a good, a good system. But of course, there are some shitty things that are left from post Russia.
Something that really sorry, JP, go on.
No, go for it.
So something that really struck me, in fact, I think struck all of us when we were out there, was the number of police. So you're thinking, why? And the number of police that are going around with blue lights going all the time, and you're thinking, do you actually need that many police? You would see sometimes on the streets in Kyiv, 10 police cars in the square area, just sitting around doing nothing with the lights on or whatever. And you think, why, when there's a war on, have you got so many police? When they
I would defend, like, I think there were, because we were right in the middle there, and actually the Parliament area, or the near the Hotel Ukrainska. So there was one time where I think Zelensky had gone. There was rumors that he had just gone. So there's going to be a lot of police doing that.
But it's also Lviv. It was everywhere.
Yeah,
and
the broader
even
point.
Yaro's dad was saying there were too many police not doing anything.
Yeah. And we were talking about border guards. Why have you got fighting age soldiers on the border when you could have, not being sexist, but you could have older or females doing that job, and it didn't kind of make sense to me. But did you catch my news bit the other day, Mark? There was they're in the enlistment offices. They're starting to put people with injuries and disabilities.
And there's more females actually, because I raised that point to someone who travels across all those 3 border checkpoints an awful lot, and he says actually the number of women has been increasing quite steadily month on month. So that's a good sign.
Being sexist, they should. That all the women, so all those posts should be manned by women who cannot fight, and there's women who can fight, who can be on the front line fighting. But those fighting age fit soldiers who are on a border post should not be there, in my opinion.
I think I have the answer. And the reasoning behind that is, the whole system of the army is a huge organism, right? It's like 1 million people if you take border guards, police, and the regular army. And in all this huge system, you cannot control everything. So when you have an opportunity, and we're all human, nobody wants to die. Maybe someone doesn't care about his or her life, but still, most of people are saying they know that they want to survive. And if there is a chance for a soldier to have a rotation period somewhere, on the Polish-Ukrainian border, to have a little bit peace of mind, and if there is such an opportunity, it's still a rotation, but they still do some service.
That's interesting.
But I'm sure
that's
one thing, and that's an adequate reasoning. But a more, I would say, another thing that could be important here is that people who are like colonels or generals, they can lobby the interests, and they can, get people that are close to them in sort of safer area. And if whenever someone high command will say, we don't need this type of people over there will be always people who will be lobbying the interests of maybe their relatives who didn't avoid going in the army but went to the army, to that general, because the general promised that they will be counted as an army, but in a safe place. So that's why you have, you've never been to a place, I went to a place in Carpathian Mountains that had, it's like a sport facility where people were prepared for, just sort of recreation and training camps, sort of things like that. And it's in Carpathian Mountains. It is counted as an ownership of the Ministry of Defense. When I went there were like 30 or 40 or 50 soldiers, young age like me, all in the uniform, active military men, sitting there in Carpathian Mountains with total peace and quiet, a place you would have to pay to be there because it's such a nice place. And there are like at least 50 people were there when there was nobody else. So there was, can Zelensky control that? I don't think so. It's too little. But can people abuse it and take advantage of it? And it's still human being, right? There's still people will try to get something for doing nothing. There will be always people who will try to abuse it. And
Michael's here says UK officers per person translates to roughly 240 officers per 100,000 people. And Ukraine is 139.14 per 100,000 people. So actually far fewer police in Ukraine than in the UK. So there you go. Yeah. Interesting stats.
I think it's a speculation.
Doing
It's speculation. I think it's a way to speculate, to just to find a way how to criticize something. I came to Kherson a couple of months ago, and I also saw police there, and I also saw some criticism from the soldiers, like, oh, they're just driving around in a nice cars that government gave them. Fine. It's good that they have something. They're still in Kherson, they're the same city. They're not in Bukovel, in somewhere in Carpathian Mountains, chilling in Spa. They're in Kherson. They're in the car that says police. They will be hunted.
Yeah. Who want to be a police? Yeah, that'd be horrible.
They will be hunted. The thing I noticed there once, there was an organization called, I think it's called Save Ukraine. What they do, I presume, is they go to red zones and they evacuate people. And they had like a really good armored SUVs. They were Land Cruisers, like a base model, but a new one. This is like when you can get very cheap, but new, and they were armored. And I'm like, okay, it's a very smart way to buy stuff if you can afford it. But then on the other hand, I saw also police that had an armored, but a Land Cruiser 300, like really new one, really expensive thing that could cost like $200,000 easily. And I'm like, why the hell you have it? You could do the same job in a thing that would be like 3 times cheap. But again, the system is not perfect. Maybe someone had a budget they needed to use, and they use it all the way up. So people do abuse system. People do, maybe put their margin on it and, do something with it. Well, it's their thing. We do things we can control, and we influence things when we have access to it. We optimize the cost, which is why our trucks, we can get more and more.
Car for Ukraine. So back to how Car for Ukraine are transparent and are awesome, and we should be supporting them. And in fact, we are involved in, of course, the Easter campaign. I'm just going to get it up. Here you go. Here's our one at ATP Geopolitics. Thank you for all those who have contributed. So as we thank you for Tahir, who's thrown in some much appreciated euros there. So so Jonathan, you are going to be going back out to Ukraine fairly shortly. I would love to go out. Mark would love to go back out. JR would love to go back out. Pierre is, I don't know where Pierre's gone.
We need to buy your mug, JP.
This is it. Like, if I'm going to get that mug that I set my eyes on, then got to get out to Ukraine.
And I need to save the postage on the patches too.
Yeah, this is it. So yeah, Jonathan's going out there to do some more sort of media stuff. So that's exciting. I would love
stuff.
Yeah.
So Jeff, have you got a vehicle to go out, and do you need a co-pilot?
I think looking at the timings and the dates, they're a little bit tight. Like, it would have to be leaving on the 12th, but I need to be there by the 14th. I guess that's doable, isn't it?
That's doable. I can do that. I can do that.
And I'll need somewhere along the way to do a. I'm interviewing Bill Browder on the 13th, so I'll need somewhere to kind of stop and make sure I've got the right Wi-Fi and set up and quiet and whatever. So that complicates things as well. But yeah, there's a couple of days.
Have we got a car that's been raised yet?
Well, my campaign's enough for a whole one, but I don't know if there are any purchased ones. Over to Ivan.
Always.
Nothing.
We just bring them. I mean, we don't wait for Jonathan or Jonathan to say, "Oh, we'll drive it."
What?
We just bring them.
Get them a car.
But if you
They will drive it.
Well, if you need a driver, I'm sure I can wangle it. The wife said to me before I came on here, as I said earlier, "Are you going to go back to Ukraine? Have you went? Is that what you're discussing tonight?" I went, "No, of course not."
Yes,
is she watching the stream now?
She's not going to watch this. Not 3 hours of it. 3 bloody hours of Jonathan Pearce.
Oh, I know.
What's not to like?
At least the rest of us have been on here to kind of liven it up a bit.
Ouch, you bastards.
Nobody's going to watch it at 1x speed as well.
Yeah. They're just waiting for the live to be over and watch it at 5x speed.
But it sounds like we could have a plan. We could probably put a plan together. I know there's not much time, but
I'm flexible. I will make anything work. Yeah, if I can help out. So
yeah, we could probably bring Ukrainian with us as well, because between us we probably know a couple of people who wouldn't say no to going back and visiting family. And across that border, I mean, it always helps to have a Ukrainian speaking person. Well, it didn't help that much.
And now we know what to do and where to avoid. Where not to go through, because the bloody Polish would go and walk over and talk to the Ukrainians, where you're lying through your teeth. So,
yeah, we're not going to that one again.
No, never.
If Jonathan's in, I'm in as well.
Oh man, don't do this to me. I'm
going to put your ass.
I'm already going to be in trouble for doing this 3 hour live stream.
Even if we haven't got any, you must have some. Yeah, and if you have anything coming up, let us know.
Well, he does. As Claire says, Sergey and Ivan will always provide you with a car. They are continuously flowing to Ukraine. You can always drive one, so that's just a continual prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We will happily do it.
It's 1 or 2. Yeah,
in a few months,
guys. I have to wrap up.
Same here.
Because need to.
Yeah, I'm really sorry that Jonathan Fink has kept you on so long. Like, Ivan, can we all just give Ivan a round of applause for just being
absolutely. Massive effort.
Thank you, guys.
It was always a pleasure, mate, and thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
And hopefully see you in a few weeks.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Right, boys. I mean, this isn't the lock-in now. We're not having a lock-in. I've run out of beer, so I've probably run out of
good collection, so I'm all right.
Bastards.
Also have some whiskey as well.
Yeah. Well, a nice, a nice Lady of the Glen Milton Duff 13. Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, very
That's
nice.
a nice one.
50, but it's 57.6%. So, yeah,
Oh.
I may have to.
It's still not as bad as a
soon.
common Japanese one.
I have no idea what any of you are talking about. So,
Well,
So
guys,
think you texted us the other day and said you've just been back recently. So come on, tell us some more stories.
Well, there's not much of it I can actually say.
it's a lot.
Just
It's a
sworn to-
lot he can.
Not on here. You're going to
Yeah.
phone me.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I think we should have a little chat though, because I think you'd appreciate some of it. Well, yeah, a lot of it.
Cool.
mean,
Maybe
yeah,
as we're driving
I
to Ukraine, you can talk to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a chat to him the other day about some stuff, and yeah, there is definitely some stuff you'd be interested in.
Yeah.
Some the things he saw, the things he saw,
The things he saw.
Yes.
Something with
Curl
screens.
your toes.
And it wasn't his girlfriend's wife's, whatever it was.
Those are noble screens.
What's what? Well, look, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Please remember, everyone in the audience, atpgeo.com/donate to help out with the campaign for Car for Ukraine. Thank you to everyone who has helped support the channel in the live chats, everyone who's been chatting in the live chats, and you guys, thank you for being the legends that you are, for helping Jonathan and I to get those trucks out to Ukraine. Well, not really helping us. Thank you for just, doing what you did and just being part of the project there. I really appreciate you guys. Sad to have seen, Dan has obviously dropped off. Benny Pie couldn't make it. Big love to you, Benny. You're a total legend. And Pierre has dropped off as well. But and it's good to have Ivan on here and Claire in the live chat. So I don't know if you've got anything to say, guys, but cheers.
Brian.
Yeah, can I please thank Chris Jones for the help with the patches.
Yeah, the patches
He's
like Chris
invaluable.
Jones. Yeah, he's been amazing in designing patches like this one and the other two that I have somewhere on the floor here. I've got a load of patches.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you to Chris Jones, who really is cool. He's done a lot of design work for the channel. So that's the joint one with Rick the Ukrainian. But yeah, so he's cool as well. Thank you to you guys. Just cheers. I've just poured that's all I've got left. Cheers, everybody. Here's to Ukraine.
Cheers to Ukraine, to victory, to.
I haven't got a glass, so this is a bit
fucking
vulgar,
up
but
Trump.
Yes.
Yeah, to victory and sticking it up Trump's ass, as far as I'm concerned.
Slava Ukraine.
Yeah, Hellhome Slava.
Slava.
Smert varagam.
Yeah,
and we need to have a physical get together, guys, because it's been this has been fantastic, and the fact we've still got some people watching us, I don't know why, but at the end of the day, what is lovely is that this is a really great community, and Fink, you missed earlier that we basically said that we are a complete disparate type of individuals. We are we come from complete different backgrounds. We have very different political views. We have different opinions, but what brought us together was Ukraine, and and actually our desire to see something, as little as we can do, to helping Ukraine, and we got on brilliantly. And the fact that we've got people here watching us and supporting the cause is just phenomenal. And I would have to say that anything we can do, however small, I think helps. Be it a tourniquet sent out, be that some first aid kits, or whatever. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's watching. Thank you to you guys from my heart, because I spend most of my day listening to you, and without you guys doing what you do, there would not be the support coming from this country to Ukraine. So thank you, guys.
Can I add to that a thank you to A.G. Simons, Kevin Forrest, Cheryl, and I'm thinking Nikki Owen, and I think I'm just forgetting quite a lot of names, other moderators. Just thank you. It's really, really.
That's a really good point. Actually, I never thank the mods enough. So thank you to all those people in the live chat who's helping things go along smoothly. Yeah, good point, JR. Well said, Mark.
Counteract what Mark said there. If anyone from Russian intelligence is listening, we're nobody. We know nothing. We've had no impact whatsoever. Just don't listen to him.
Fuck you.
Well, I was going to say that. I was going to be kind of nice.
It's worrying when you have Serhiy Stenenko, assassination attempt on him today, and
yes,
it makes you, although he's a high profile guy, but it makes you, yeah. Well, look, great to have you come along for the end there, Jonathan. Johnny come lately. Just coming in for.
That's what his girlfriend said too.
Yeah.
I was just gonna.
We just missed train.
Comes along for the glory at the end.
Would leap into that one.
Yeah. We didn't even start about the titty wars.
yeah. We're going back to good old Ukraine chat. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure, never a chore. You guys take care, and thank you so much to the people in the live chats. May I ask, does Mark equal Little Whiskey Shop? Yes, he does. He is the Little Whiskey Shop. He embodies it, and he's presently drinking it.
And he is 50% proof.
Yeah, exactly.
50% proof.
Blood. He is 50% proof.
Yeah, don't get high on your own supply.
Yeah, I will. I need to make another order soon. So yes. Well, look, this is my this goodbye has taken me 2.5 hours. So just thanks,
record.
Guys.
Yeah, record.
Yeah. Stay in the chat, and then we'll say our proper our goodbyes at the end of this. But for the meantime, thanks, guys. Big love to you all.
Yeah, and you.
See you around.
See ya.